Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Pleasure to have your company this Sunday morning. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Chelsea striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
We have a fantastic bumper show for you today. We're going to react to the England under-21s' brilliant and dramatic extra-time win over Germany, a remarkable game in the Club World Cup as Chelsea overcame a 2-hour weather delay to defeat Benfica 4-1 in North Carolina, and we'll look back on a decisive victory for the British and Irish Lions against the Western Force down under. Plus, over the next 4 hours, we're going to discuss Jurgen Klopp's comments on player welfare, which are all over the back pages this morning, and we'll look ahead to a huge week of sport, including the Women's Euros, which starts on Wednesday, and Wimbledon. That gets underway tomorrow. And as always, there's plenty of fun to be had as well. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Okay, Cass, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, Nat. Amazing day yesterday.
Amazing.
I got to say, fair play to the under-21s, England. I thought their performance was exceptional. I thought the way it was managed was brilliant. I thought fair credit to Lee Carsley, someone I was in squads with the Republic of Ireland. Never would have imagined this moment for him, and to do it back to back is an extraordinary achievement. And I know we're going to talk a lot this morning about the under-21s and their performance. It was a really, really good from start to finish. I mean, there was a part of the game in the second half where when Germany got back to 2-2, it looked very edgy. Yeah, well, look, we'll start on the under-21s, shall we? But it was a fantastic Saturday of sport, and talkSPORT was at the heart of it for all of you. A dramatic 92nd minute winner for Jonathan Rowe sealed a 3-2 victory for England's under-21s over Germany in the Euros final in Bratislava. A thriller that had everything pretty much. So it's now back-to-back titles for Lee Carsley's side, who showed serious grit to get over the line in extra time, especially as Germany had hit the crossbar a couple of times. Here's how that dramatic night sounded live on talkSPORT.
No nation has ever won back-to-back under-21 European Championships. And he'll drop to Elliott in the area, and he's rolled it in!
No one can stop this player.
Elliott with a delightful dink up the middle, and James McAtee, the England captain, is clear. Can he poke it into the path of Hutchinson in the area? He does! Hutchinson! 2-0 to England!
2-0, and we have to say, it's been coming.
Naval dribbles down the left and then checks back onto his left foot away from Stansfield, and the header is in! Germany have got one back. It's Viper.
One goal, momentum changes. England just need to keep focused.
Naval onto the right foot. Oh, what a wonderful goal! Into the top corner. It is a Germany equaliser. What a final in the under-21 Euros on talkSPORT. Up to Naval. He's hit the bar. Via the deflection. Germany nearly win it. Extra time is looming. Back to Morton, who delivers a great cross. Header in! John Rowe!
Unbelievable start to the extra time.
It is history for England's under-21s. A fourth European Championship title. England's young guns are kings of Europe again. The ticker tape goes off. McAtee hoists the trophy high up into the air.
A fantastic night then for the young Lions. Joe Shannon and Darren Ambrose, the former under-21 midfielder, there with the commentary. It is another trophy added to Carsley's CV. Questions now begin about his future in the sense of what should happen next for him. Having said that, he's only recently signed a new deal with the FA to remain in the under-21 position. Here's what Ollie Klink and Ambrose made of it at full time.
They have to do whatever they can to keep hold of him. Progression of England, winning these tournaments back to back, it's an amazing achievement. The progression of these players, we've seen throughout the years the players that have come through Lee Carsley and then gone up to the full squad, and there's going to be more from this squad. You don't win the Euros and then not have any of the players go to the full squad. It's an amazing achievement. Whatever he decides to do, look, he's going to get suitors. He's a top manager, he's a top coach. I think he deserves to have this much credit. He deserves opportunities to maybe take a top Premier League job, but who knows what he wants to decide to do. He seems to enjoy this role. He seems made for this role. The role seems made for him as well. So hopefully the FA sort this position out and keep him with the under-21s for a long time.
So that's what Dan Ambrose had to say, and I think how he summed it up well there, Cass, is it's a job made for him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Absolutely loves being part of this coaching side of this under-21s team.
Yeah, well, if you want an example of that, look at the team and how it's mirrored by the way he seems to have gathered this group together and literally cover every blade of grass from the minute one. And I'm going to give a big thumbs up as well to the substitutions.
Yeah. Because
the substitutions came all at the right time, all had an impact. And you could look at, say, someone like Ranieri, okay? He's a top player at Arsenal. He's got a very bright future. He might have had his nose put out of joint, not making the starting lineup. Comes on, none of that. Tries to make things happen as soon as he comes on. I'd say Tyler Morton as well. Played the last game, comes on for Alex Scott, does brilliantly well for the goal. But another player, looking at Jonathan Rowe, who's had a difficult time at Marseille. He's gone there as a young lad. He openly admits it's been a challenge for him. He's not played many games. He's found himself on the bench. He gets a chance, And then I'd find in Norton Chuffy. Came on, made an impact in the game. Yeah. All of these players at a very vital time of the game, when the game looked like it was going away from England. Yes. The Germans really come on strong in the second half and into extra time. All of them guys and others added to what England already achieved with the starting lineup.
Yeah. Even the roles of someone like a CJ Egan-Riley.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're being sent on because you've got to defend now. We have to defend for our lives because we've got this 3-2 lead and we haven't got that long left really in the game and we need you to be at your very best. Coming on so late on in a game when the pressure is on, that's really hard. But, and there were moments that made the game nervy at the end because obviously Germany had to do what they could to try and force it even to a penalty shootout if they could have got it to that stage.
Well, it was like, you see great sport in rivalries with individuals and then sometimes you see it in team level where you'll see two great players, they'll go 2 sets to upper to Loving and then the other one will come back and get back.
Well, you saw it in Alcaraz with the French Open.
This happens all the time at an individual level where top players, this was 2 top groups of players because Germany were good. I was surprised at how good they were, considering they went 2-0 behind, but got themselves back into a football match. But you still weren't sure of the outcome. Because they were both very closely matched, and that was the thing that I thought was really intriguing.
So there's lots of discussions about Lee Carsley and what next for him. In the sense more of how did the FA utilise him? He has always been outspoken about wanting to be a coach, loves to develop younger players. That's what he has said for a very, very long time. And he's also sort of intimated that he doesn't really want to be a manager of a club at club level, really. That might change down the line, but as it is at this present moment, he's always sort of iterated that he just loves being a part of bringing younger players through or having a part to play in their development. This is what he had to say then afterwards on the hopes that the success of this under-21 side can transfer to the senior team.
I think with the DNA, the DNA is a brilliant document, but you have to live it. You have to believe in it. You have to make sure that we're putting the right players in the right camps from under 15s right the way through to the senior team, and it's a great document that we often refer to, and it's shown that we are capable of winning at this level in terms of 17s, 19s, and 21s, and what we can't forget is that we're here to support the senior team. That's our main goal, is to push players through to the seniors and hopefully win a World Cup or European Championships.
So that's what Carsley had to say, and this was a victory, let's not forget, in front of the England manager Thomas Tuchel, in front of the FA's what's his title now, Chief Football Officer Dan Ashworth, if you remember, who was way back when part of the FA before he moved into sort of club director of football roles. We always say success breeds success. But obviously we haven't, and we've seen a lot of the the levels, I should say, of England teams doing well, winning World Cups at respective age levels. Now we've had back-to-back successes at the Euros. But that hasn't really kicked on in terms of England senior team winning something. Now they've got to finals, as we know, with Gareth Southgate recently. But how can it be translated from the under-21s now to the senior team?
Well, there is evidence there that other nations have achieved the goals of winning at younger levels and then winning major tournaments at the senior level. So there's lots of evidence of that in many different countries. So you hope that's the pathway that Lee is talking about. We don't know. Because what you're going to have to witness over the next, say, couple of tournaments is a team actually achieving that. I mean, I think it's going to be a massive ask for England to win in America. I just think that's way tougher. I've been there myself and seeing, and we're going to talk about climate and all what goes on out there, how much harder it is for a European team to win than it is, say, a South American team. But Lee was... It's... You know, when you're in a squad with someone, and the thing about Lee Carsley is he'll never be on the front page of a newspaper, and he'll hardly be on the back, you know, hardly. And he'll never make outrageous comments. I have always looked at him that he just does things really well, very understated in his way. He was like that as a player. If you talk to Mick McCarthy, has a lot of time for Lee Carsley. He's always said, you know, and Mick had him as a player, said Lee absolutely top. You know, in many, many different ways. Never rocks the boat, never upsets anyone. You saw that with his team yesterday. Everyone run through a brick wall. He doesn't have to announce it, but his team run through a brick wall for him and for England. And they all turn up. Remember that? There are no pullouts. Yeah. Everyone turned up. No one's had their nose out of joint. They all wanted to be part of it. You saw that afterwards. That enthusiasm and drive and motivation that's there from them. Yeah.
And let's not forget, this wasn't the strongest under-21 side, because some of them are involved in the Club World Cup.
There's about 6 or 7, isn't there, that you could call in,
Absolutely. But you're absolutely right on that factor, which we saw with Gareth Southgate and his England teams, in the fact that we didn't see many pullouts. It always felt as though players wanted to be part of the setup. Thing. Yeah. And that's obviously translated across the board with now the under-21s. And, you know, Harvey Elliott, who's a senior member of that team. This would probably be his swan song, won't it, for the under-21s. All wanting to turn up, all wanting to hopefully create some history, which they have now done in winning this back-to-back. And you're right, it's that culture. It's the culture that's been cultivated at the FA, and that's from everyone. Which is a massive, massive
Just
thing.
On one quick thing as well. You know, again, Elliot Anderson yesterday was tremendous. He's driving from midfield. And they're all-star performers yesterday, but his performance, for me, typified the hunger and desire that he showed, and that he should be in the senior squad. But he was absolutely delighted to be part of the under-21s.
Yes.
You saw it with every moment of the game. Absolutely delighted.
Yeah. Look, there's much more we can digest from this one, in the sense that if you look at that first half, England were brilliant in that first half. To concede as they did so late on in that first half gave Germany the impetus, it felt, coming into that second half, and they obviously came back and made it 2-2, and then we know it went to extra time, and England getting that goal through Jonathan Rowe. As I say, there's lots more to digest from this fantastic night in Bratislava. We'll get more reaction to it then throughout this show, and up next we're going to discuss the Club World Cup once more. Jurgen Klopp has had plenty to say about it and the impact it's having on players. Find out what he's had to say next. Very good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is the former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. I'm with you until 10 o'clock this morning. Player welfare is once again in the spotlight, and one of the most high-profile voices in world football isn't holding back. Jurgen Klopp, in an exclusive interview with the German newspaper Welt am Sonntag, hope I've said that right, slammed the introduction of the expanded Club World Cup. He said this, and he said plenty more as well on it. The Club World Cup is the worst idea. People who have never had anything to do with day-to-day business are coming up with ideas. I fear that next season players will suffer injuries they've never had before. If not, then it'll happen at the World Cup or later as well. Which is something we've spoken about already, haven't we? Of all of these competitions. When you think about the Euros of a summer ago, heading into this Premier League season that we've just had, now you've got the Club World Cup, albeit that not every team is involved in this, so I get that. But then you've got another season to come and a World Cup, which we spoke about this before, Cass, where we said the World Cup is the pinnacle for FIFA, you would expect. Yet they have, it feels at this present moment, they've gone, but this Club World Cup is going to make a lot of money. And I know the World Cup will as well, but they're forgetting that if you want the World Cup of 2026 to be of the best standard, you're not really giving it a chance if you're putting in this kind of competition where some of your very best players are involved.
Yeah, absolutely. You only have to look at clubs' injury lists. You know, I'll just say Premier League, and you look from club to club, and there's huge amounts of players being injured.
Yeah.
And that's telling you everything you need to know. It's not like, oh, we've got one or two. There's some clubs have had 8, 9. Your club's had that. Other clubs have had it. There'll be fans from all different football clubs that say that our injury list is horrendous. Now, I don't check Championship, League 2, League 1, you know, okay, but they're not playing European football, but they're still playing a lot of football because they're playing more games.
In some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, it's flooded. Football is, they've flooded the market in so many different competitions, but you can look at the, you know, if you look at Chelsea last night, and obviously they played, and we're not really talking about them, but you know they will make changes to some of their lineups, which that's why they bolster their squads. That's why they have more players, because they have to make changes. Evidence tells you can't keep running foot down on the pedal all the time in sport. It's just not possible. You will get injuries, and the most common injury in the recent years is the hamstring, and that's that. Yeah. And the hamstring is the injury of fatigue. It is. So, calves and hamstrings.
But as Jurgen Klopp is alluding to there, the people that are making these decisions are not those that have ever played the game or been involved in the running of the game in terms of club level day to day. But another manager who has voiced his concerns is the former Everton boss Sean Dyche, who told talkSPORT his views on the sheer number of games top players are being expected to get through.
It's a World Club thing, you know. Goodness me. The managers was like, oh, you know, players are going, really? You know what I mean? I know it's money, a lot of money, by the way. Yeah. I didn't actually realise how much was, you know, put on the table for it, but it's a long season, you know. Look at this weird thing now, you know, in the last few years, you know, this big debate about, you know, sort of health and safety and dementia from football, from heading the ball. And on the one hand, they're saying you shouldn't be doing that. And on the other hand, they're adding more competitions and more games and more game time. And they're lengthening the games now, you know, by adding every second on. So you're getting 10 minutes of extra time. Yeah. I just go, well, which way do you want it? Yeah. You know, like, how much is being asked of these players now? I know everyone goes, they earn fortunes and all that, but so do the clubs, by the way.
Yeah.
A good point there, absolutely.
It's spot on the show. I mean, we're talking Sean Dyche, okay? We're not talking about a manager that's a new breed and, okay, this is old school, you know, a guy that came through the ranks at football clubs where years gone by, it was tougher, as in, you know, the tackling was harder and there's more regulations, protection there is for footballers now. But on the flip side of that is what he's talking about. You're just running players into the ground, physically. But you're eliminating a lot of the other stuff that you might see, dangerous challenges. They're not as bad as what they used to be. He's old school, and he's telling you there's 2-minute match football.
Yeah. Oh, look, we know that already. And
he's been a manager, and he's listened to them in a dressing room, and he's witnessed competitions. How long's Sean been a manager for? 20-odd years?
Probably around that mark.
You know,
but a player before that, so again knows the as you do, the rigmaroles that you have to go to as a player. And Look, I get it. There'll be people listening in right now who are probably loving this Club World Cup. I'll be honest, I've barely watched any of it, partly because I've been more enthralled by the Under-21 European Championships, and then the Women's Euros is going to be coming up. So again, I'll be watching that more than I'll be watching this. And this might be a competition that in time we're all going to love, and we're all going to be like, yes, I'm so pleased we've got the Club World Cup. But for me, essentially, it just tells me that this is a competition where the rich get richer. If you look at all the clubs that are in this, Cass, European teams, first of all, most of them make a fair bit of money. They're the ones that tend to dominate in their respective leagues. If you look at the other clubs, perhaps from South America and from Africa, you imagine, well, all you're doing is benefiting those particular clubs. This is not wealth that's being redistributed. So surely we're just going to see these clubs appearing every time this Club World Cup comes around because they're going to have the most money to be able to do the best things. And so I don't see the benefit of it long term. Now, in Europe, it's slightly different because we do see different winners of European competitions more often. But I just fear that all you're doing is just helping out teams that already have their riches, especially like a PSG. We talked about it yesterday with Eric Bilderman and what's going on in French football.
Yeah, everyone else is suffering, but PSG are absolutely fine. It's made them even stronger.
Absolutely. And this is the fear for
well, it's a bit like the, the markets in America where 90% of the money is owned by the 10% richest people. Okay. So that's all. It's the same sort of thing in football, that 90% of the money at the top end of the game is being taken by the top clubs, the top 10%. And that's not changing. That's continued to go that way. And
I think it's great that someone like Jurgen Klopp is speaking out about it. I suppose the one caveat to all of this would be, well, bear in mind his role now as the head of global soccer for Red Bull, or Red Bull Salzburg, at the Club World Cup. So they would have made a little bit of money out of this, but it's fair enough that he's come out and said that it's a bit of a farce and one of the worst ideas. And really, in truth, are we, apart from maybe from now on, whoever remembers the Club World Cup champions, unless you've won it?
Well, it's a question for you then. So if this become bigger, do you think that the other side of the picture is, would the Premier League suffer because of the Club World Cup if it got bigger and bigger? Well, then start leaving players out of Premier League games.
We were speaking to our producer before we came on air, Sam, and he was right to highlight it. It feels like a bit like the Super League that was, suggested a few years ago, which we were all totally against because it was a closed shop. This has an element of a closed shop because it's only so many teams that can be in this competition, and they're in it. Either you've won the respective tournament of that time, as in the Champions League or the Copa Libertadores or whatever it is, or you've done really well in that tournament over a 4-year cycle. So it just feels it's a bit of a closed shop.
Well, if it grew, and from where it is today, and then in 5 years' time it become a much bigger competition, more clubs were really going after it, trying to win it, would you see an end of a season where lots of players are being left out by the major clubs? If they were,
well, you possibly could, yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And say, well, no, we've got the Club World Cup coming in 1 month. We're going to leave a number of these players out. We need to be fresh.
And not just that. You look at what we've just seen happen in Bratislava, the under-21s. Because of the cycle of 4 years, this is going to impact the Euros again for the under-21s. It might get to a point where you'll see more and more players going, I'm sorry, I can't play in this because I've got to go to the Club World Cup now. Because we could potentially win nearly 100 million. By then, it'll be even more. Oh,
probably. It'll be, yeah.
So, yes.
Lots of ifs and ands there, isn't there?
Yes. I think it's fair to say we're not sold on it yet. But it's not to say we can't be changed in terms of our opinions. And we all love football at the end of the day. But it just feels as though this one hasn't quite got us yet. Chelsea, though, they are through, we should say, to the quarterfinals, and we'll get more on their extraordinary game in the Club World Cup last night as they eventually came through to beat Benfica to make it, as I say, to the last 8, but it went to extra time, and there was also a 2-hour weather delay in it as well. More on that to come. Good morning. This is the Weekend's Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're live on your radio, YouTube and your smart TV. It is a man who has the freedom of the French town of Nancy, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. And you know Oasis are back. Their concert, their gigs are sold out, their tour. But if you want to go, we can help you out because we've got 2 tickets to their Manchester gig on July the 19th. But as I say, it's sold out, but we are the ones to help you out. Not only will you get those tickets, we'll put you up in a hotel for the night and give you $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. How do you enter? Well, listen up.
Alright, kid, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you gotta do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
And we wish you the best of luck. Right, it's time now to look ahead to today's Club World Cup action and look back at what happened yesterday, all thanks to DAZN.
FIFA Club World Cup Roundup on talkSPORT, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Yeah, the last 16 action continues today, starting with PSG against Inter Miami, and then later on you've got Flamengo facing Bayern Munich. But last night, Chelsea beat 10-man Benfica thanks to 3 late extra-time goals in an extraordinary Club World Cup last 16 match that lasted more than 4 hours. And that's because it included a near 2-hour delay for extreme weather. Reece James opened the scoring with a stunning free kick until Angel Di Maria, in his last appearance for Benfica, converted a 95th minute penalty to take the game to extra time. Then there were goals from Christopher Nkunku, Pedro Neto and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall in the second half of extra time in Charlotte, North Carolina, that eventually saw Chelsea through to the quarterfinals. And they will now face the Brazilian side Palmeiras, who defeated the fellow Brazilian team Botafogo yesterday. And that quarterfinal is on the 5th of July. Despite progressing to the next round, the Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca yet again slammed the playing conditions.
I think for me personally it's not football. It's already 7, 8, 9 games that they suspended here. I think it's a joke, to be honest. It's not football. It's not for us. You cannot be inside because you don't know what you have to say. It's completely, for me, it's completely something new, but I struggle to understand. I can understand that for security reason, you have to suspend the game, but if you suspend the 7, 8 games, that means that probably is not the right place to do this competition. I think for 85 minutes, we didn't concede nothing. The team was very good. For me, one of the best performance in the last weeks, month. The problem is that then the game suspended, and it's a joke. It's not football, guys. It's not football. You could suspend the game 2 hours. It's not football. It's completely something different.
Interesting comments there from Enzo Maresca.
We
should point out that the game was heading to full time and it was just 4 minutes before the end of the 90 when it was disrupted. Let's get more stateside then as we speak to a man who's been patiently waiting to speak to us about that extraordinary game in North Carolina last night. It's the US sports journalist Eric Krakauer that joins us. Eric, hello, how are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us. Or being with us, I should say. Not football is what Enzo Maresca said there. It was extraordinary. It's something that obviously we're not used to over here, seeing such extreme weather conditions and then forcing delays. Were the authorities right in delaying the game like they had to, or interrupt it like they had to?
Yes, and that's been part and parcel of matches in the summer in Major League Soccer, especially in cities like Charlotte, where I live, and the weather can be tempestuous, especially in the summer, blazing hot throughout the day, and then you get these momentary storms. Today, it didn't last very long, but safety was a concern. And so every time that lightning struck within a certain radius or a certain distance, it just added 30 minutes to the clock. And honestly, it felt a lot longer than 2 hours as I was waiting around in the booth. But you have to be concerned with the safety of the fans in the stands, and that takes priority. But I do understand the points made by Maresca. And I also anticipate, and I actually mentioned this to someone that I was working with today, that this could be a problem next year in the World Cup.
Yeah, Eric, me and Natalie spoke about it yesterday. Look, we've seen what happened in North Carolina. The weather is, is very troublesome. We see it in golf all the time where players are coming off golf courses. We see that it's a regular theme in certain, especially on the east side of America. So how's this going to be resolved? Because Maresca's comments were scathing. They weren't just being critical. He was literally saying there's no way we can play this competition in America.
Yeah, I think it's a problem that FIFA are going to have to deal with. Look, we were actually talking about all the stadiums that are going to host the World Cup matches. And I can think of Atlanta with a retractable roof, a couple of others. But other than that, you're not going to really have a way to deal with this problem if it presents itself. And I fear that it will, especially with as many games as there will be in the World Cup. I'm not sure how they deal with this. Do they shuffle the schedule around since a lot of these storms are late in the afternoon? But honestly, I think that this is unavoidable.
Well, I mean, it's set in stone now. It's happening. So I don't know what more you can do about it other than hope that when these games are taking place that they just have the luck that the weather is with them.
Exactly.
But of course, the other issue, Eric, and again, something we talked about, is when you're going into games where you might have group deciders. So you've got two games dependent on the outcome of those matches to see whether or not, let's say, teams get through. Well, if one's delayed by 2 hours and the other one plays out, or do they delay the other game? That's the other issue that FIFA are going to have to think about. Do they play it out?
Well, knockout stages, it could be a real problem, couldn't it?
Yeah, but in a group situation.
The end of a group game, yeah.
If for example, I'm just assuming, let's say one game plays through and that you've worked out that, let's say, Germany have won, and then whoever, do you know what I mean? It's all these like ramifications.
It just betrays. Right, it betrays the entire reason why they've scheduled those games, the group deciders at the same time, doesn't it?
Yes.
So teams may know the results and then they'll find some way, well, not intentionally to negotiate the result, but they'll play a little bit more conservatively.
There could
perhaps
be that element of manipulation of knowing what you're going to do and how to get the right result.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the game itself, shall we? As we mentioned, Chelsea coming through to win 4-1 in the end. How did Chelsea look in that game?
I agree with Enzo Maresca. They looked like they were in complete control of the match. Benfica were very timid. I don't really like Benfica under Bruno Lage. It's almost as if he goes into games against opponents of equal or superior level looking not to lose as opposed to trying to figure out a way to win. So they sat back very deep. They deferred possession to Chelsea. And the way they play with with Reece James essentially playing as an extra center back, moving Cucurella up, getting an extra midfielder. They were very good at containing Benfica when they were trying to play in transition. The only time when Benfica actually threatened and were a little bit of a menace to Chelsea were after they conceded the goal, and they had to push the issue. They had to press, they had to push forward and try to press further up the field. But up until that point, it was just not a very good performance. And unfortunately for Benfica, the player who had been so talismanic for them in this competition, Anatoly Trubin, wasn't very good today. The first goal should have never gone in. I think Reece James catches him by surprise, but the old cliche of you have to protect your near post. I think it would be adequate to make that point in this game. And then the go-ahead goal as well in the second half of extra time, where Caicedo takes the shot. It's pretty weak. It's straight at Trubin, and he can't stop it. He spills it, and then Kunku manages to put it over the line. I think Chelsea deserved to win. My only criticism of the comments that Enzo Maresca made is that the weather delay affected both teams, essentially. The difference is that Benfica in those 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes that they had to chase the game. So there's a difference in mentality, whereas Chelsea are trying not to concede the goal that takes it to extra time.
Yeah, I mean, we see the goals this morning. We watched them, Eric. I thought it was a harsh penalty that Benfica were given. Some will debate that. I thought that was harsh. I come from a different time. I sometimes call
Townsend agrees with you.
Yeah, well, I
spoke to him after the game.
Look, we're seeing penalties. You're always perceived as being a dinosaur if you ever say that's a bit soft. But that's where we are in the game. A little bit on Di Maria, because obviously 37 years old, final game for Benfica, been a world star for many moons now. What did you make of him? Did you see the player it's the right time for him to sort of call it a day?
Yeah, he's had a bit of an up and down season with Benfica, and Benfica had an up and down season as well. They had a terrible end to the season as Sporting took the title away from them and then beat them in the cup final as well only a few days later. I thought that Di Maria had a pretty good tournament. Scores 4 goals, all 4 of them penalties. It's just a shame that his last match is blemished by the end result. I don't think, as well as Chelsea played and as tepid the performance from Benfica, I don't think that a 4-1 scoreline is representative of what we saw. And I think that's just a shame for Di Maria. And I think you'll look back on this game. He had a breakaway in the second half of extra time when the score was tied and when Benfica was a man down already after Prisciani had been sent off, where he perhaps should have done better with his opportunity and could have scored. So I think he'll be looking back at that chance and thinking of what might have been. But, you have to commend the career that he had and obviously look back at his time at Benfica over 2 stints as very successful years.
We should quickly look ahead to one of the standout games from today, live on talkSPORT 2, 5 o'clock, Inter Miami taking on PSG, Messi taking on his former side. How competitive can Inter Miami be in this one, do you think?
Well, they've surprised everybody so far. I don't think many people gave them a chance of getting out of the group, even though out of all 3 MLS teams, they perhaps had the best chance because it was the weakest of all the groups. The first game against Al-Ahly, I think gave everybody the impression that Inter Miami were really going to struggle. But they played well against Porto, even though Porto perhaps deserved a draw. And under Martin Anselmi, they don't look particularly good. And then against Palmeiras, they were able to withstand attack after attack and put away their chances with Luis Suarez turning back the clock. So I don't think they stand much of a chance against PSG. They're everybody's favorite in this competition. They've been impressive. They lost against Botafogo, but they were a lot better than the Brazilian team that was beaten today by Palmeiras in the other round of 16 match. They blamed the weather in Pasadena. It was very hot, and South American teams are better prepared for the weather. But you just never know in this game. And when you have somebody like Messi and somebody else like Suarez, they might just be able to pull something out of the hat and get a win. But I doubt that will happen.
Eric, in the Chelsea-Benfica game, there was, 27,000 in a 70,000 stadium. Are you expecting a much bigger audience for PSG versus Inter Miami?
I think so. It's a Sunday. It's a noon kickoff in a stadium with a retractable roof. So the conditions are going to be nice and comfortable inside. Everybody is going to want to see Messi. PSG is a new darling of world football. They have been in a way over the last couple of years, but especially after winning their first Champions League title. So I expect a good crowd in what is one of the biggest stadiums in the United States.
Brilliant. Eric, really appreciate you, staying up late, I assume it is with you to chat to us. So thank you.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Great to have you with us. That is the US at Sports. Yeah, right. Really insightful, as you would imagine. Of course, who else would we get on? That is the US at Sport journalist Eric Krakow then giving us his thoughts on everything Club World Cup related. And that was also our look ahead to the FIFA Club World Cup with DAZN. Watch every game of this Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. You can sign up at dazn.com.
FIFA Club World Cup Roundup on talkSPORT, presented by DAZN. Sign up now at dazn.com to watch every game live and for free.
And don't forget, we are bringing you the PSG Inter Miami game live today on talkSPORT 2. It kicks off at 5. You'll have commentary from Kevin Hatchard and former England striker Dean Ashton as well. OK, on the way next, the transfer market really is hotting up. We're going to bring you the very latest. Oh, he's very busy, this man. He's an impressionist. He's an injury liability, if you saw what happened in the Soccer Aid training. And he's also our transfer guru too. Ollie Klink is with us next. Tuning in to the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with the former Crockenhill and Gillingham striker Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10 today, and here are some of your headlines. The England under-21s dramatically defended their European title with a thrilling extra-time win over Germany in Bratislava last night. The British and Irish Lions cruised to an 8-try, 54-7 victory over Western Force in their first game of their tour on Australian soil. And despite already spending big in this window, on talkSPORT Transfers Insiders, Ollie Klink and Marcus Speller were joined by our Saudi correspondent Ben Jacobs, who revealed Liverpool are still eyeing more firepower up front.
Liverpool, Gyökeres has been discussed, as ironically has Benjamin Sesko as well. I still think that Liverpool will look at Hugo Ekitike. Frankfurt's price is 100 million. It may drop later in the window. And then you've got that dream target of Alexander Isak as well. So actually, Liverpool are not as advanced in their search yet in terms of club-to-club negotiations for their new number 9. And Arsenal have actually taken the Sesko and Gyökeres deals relatively far. And that's why I think Arsenal won't feel a hijack is that much of a worry. They've just got to make up their mind which one of those two they're going to go for.
Bizarrely, Ollie Klink and Marcus Speller seem to morph into Alan Brazil and Gabby Agbonlahor there. Let's speak to Ollie Klink, who is awaiting to speak to us this morning. How are you, Ollie?
Ollie?
Oh, I'm really good, thanks, guys. Yeah, I did morph into Alan Brazil. Never looked so good.
I was looking at your face when Isak was mentioned again, Ollie, and thinking, I don't want that. I don't want to reveal that news.
Yeah, we don't deal with rumours on these programmes at all, Tony. I'd still say, I mean, obviously that's with my Newcastle fan hat on, and I would still say that it is very unlikely that he does go this summer, just because the asking price is so high, isn't it? Because Newcastle value him so much, and also Liverpool have already splashed the cash a lot. I know they didn't make many transfers last summer. In fact, it was just Chiesa, I think, wasn't it? But you know, with that huge fee for Wirtz, another huge fee for Isak, I mean, it would be some spree for them, wouldn't it?
Probably the biggest summer spree ever, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is,
it's not the summer sales, that's for sure.
But there has to be a few outgoings, really, because it's all incomings. I know Trent is gone.
Kwanzaa as well has gone.
Yeah.
You know, so they've got a bit of money. There'll be others.
Nunez, you probably think will.
I can't. I don't see him being a Liverpool player next season at all. No.
Okay, I mean, whatever happens,
DS,
Cass is absolutely delighted, isn't he? Because it's Liverpool just strengthening and strengthening and strengthening. You said you don't deal with rumours when it comes to Newcastle, but we are going to talk about one, aren't we? Brighton seemingly rejecting offers worth in excess of £50 million for João Pedro from Newcastle, and another Premier League club, although unnamed, so we understand. The Newcastle boss Eddie Howe has made Pedro his top forward target, and they're expected to increase their bid. So what's the latest on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it all stands at the moment. I think those talks are going to be continuing. We know that Chelsea do have an interest in João Pedro. Our reporter Ben Jacobs was bringing that news yesterday. That they're in the race for João Pedro. But the interesting thing was this is Chelsea only opened the talks in mid-June, and I think Newcastle's interest has been there at least, I think, since about May. So it might be that Chelsea are the club that are trying to come in and take this deal from Newcastle. But yeah, I mean, for Newcastle, it's funny that you mentioned Isak, because I feel that it's a tricky signing for them, because they do need someone who can play in the number 9 position. But it's a difficult sell, isn't it? Because you know that Alexander Isak is going to be starting. So that's why I feel that someone like João Pedro makes sense, because he doesn't just play in that number 9 position. He can play as a number 10. He can play on the left-hand side. He could probably play on the right-hand side too. So it would make sense. The question I would have for you, Cass, do you think he is worth in excess of 50 million?
Well, it's really tough, Ollie, on fees, because it seems like everybody's a lot of money now. And if you're a certain age and you've done well at a football club, 50 is the bare minimum. We've just seen this with Brian Mbeumo. We've seen it with Cunha. So why would Pedro be any different? He's done really well. I totally agree with you. I've seen him play on the left for Brighton. I've seen him playing off the forward. I'm not sure what Anthony Gordon would lie on that. If they did bring him in, they would probably... I don't know why. I just think he may be the one that moved on. Is he worth 50 million? Well, if you're looking at today's market, yes. If you're looking at, where we are and how we value players and what he's done for Brighton, I mean, Brighton, what did they pay for him? 30? Was it 30 million? I think they paid.
Yeah, 30 million.
Well, yeah, if they paid 30 million for him, they obviously see him as probably twice the player that they bought. So I think you're going to probably have to get to 60 to get him. So that's where I am. There
was once a suggestion that Newcastle were looking at Brian Mbeumo, but now feels as though it's all about Manchester United. There were suggestions that Tottenham with Thomas Frank might try and persuade him, but as I say, it does feel as though United are leading the way, but they're not quite meeting the fee yet that Brentford want.
No, yeah, I mean, from what we're hearing, Mbeumo is still set to undergo his Manchester United medical next week, and they're finalising that package. Going to be worth more than the 62.5 million that Manchester United paid for Matheus Cunha. But I mean, this one is still, I think, edging close. I'm sorry, Natalie, of course.
No, it's fine. I'm resigned.
You're used to it, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you're used to it now. But yeah, I mean, and the other interesting part to this, I think, is that after they eventually get Mbeumo through the door, Manchester United, as well as getting Cunha, the attention we understand is going to return to recruiting a number 9 for Ruben Amorim too. So it could be a completely different front three going forward, which is really exciting, I think, for Manchester United fans, because the issue, I mean, there's issues all over the pitch, let's be honest, but scoring goals has been a huge one, I think. I mean, even if you just use that final as an example in the Europa League, I mean, as soon as Tottenham got in front, I feel like it was a given that they were going to get over the line, because Manchester United struggled so much in front of goal. With a completely new look front three, I guess, as well, I wonder what the expectations are now for Ruben Amorim heading into next season, especially with no European...
Champions League, Ollie?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be Champions League. If you're investing this much money, and you're right to say, I mean, that forward line needed revamping, by the way. It was well short. We talked about valuations of players. Anthony, what was nearly 80 million, and Rasmus Højlund, they spent best part of 150 million on 2 strikers that are deemed now not good enough.
Yeah, and actually, it's a change of tack, isn't it? Because this time around, they've gone for Premier League proven. Whereas before, you know, when they were splashing the cash with Erik ten Hag, you're right, you know, Rasmus Højlund, that hasn't worked out. Joshua Zirkzee, even though we do understand Ruben Amorim wants Zirkzee to stay, so far he hasn't had the impact that they would have been expecting for the money that they spent on him. But this time around, you're getting Cunha, who scored 15 goals in the Premier League. You're getting Mbeumo, who scored 20 goals last season. So as much as they are still paying a lot of money and the wages could be pretty significant as well, especially in Mbeumo's case, this time they're going for players that know what this league's about.
Yeah. Maybe less so about Jamie Gittins then with Chelsea and the fact that they're still pursuing him. It looked as though they wanted to get him in before the Club World Cup. That didn't quite happen, but they're still interested in signing him.
Yeah, in fact, we understand a fee's been agreed between Chelsea and Dortmund for Gittins for around 55 million. There was a couple of bids from Chelsea before that mini deadline, as you say there, Natalie, one for 30 million and then one for 42 million. But it's looking like the fee will be around £55 million. He's 20 years old. He's a left winger coming in from Dortmund. He's very highly rated. Agreed to a 7-year contract, we understand. So yet again, Chelsea sealing him for a long while.
That meets all the PSR terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Ollie, have you got any 12 million buys? Oh, Kelleher to Brenford.
Christian Norgard's not too dissimilar.
Norgard's on the way, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what? All these exits from Brentford, the only thing I can say is imitation is the highest form of flattery. So they obviously know Brentford are doing good things and we need those kind of players. So, you know, that's the best way I can look at it. Anything else very quickly that you wanted to wrap up? James Trafford, what's happening with him?
Yeah, James Trafford, again, this is a big player of interest to Newcastle. We understand they've rejected a bid, Burnley, for around 26 million for Trafford, but the talks are still continuing and James Trafford is quite keen on this move. That's what we understand at the moment. So I expect that one, in terms of the talks, to continue, and we'll see if Newcastle can get some business done. With this PSR deadline coming up, I expect especially Newcastle to start getting a bit busier. That's why you're starting to see a few more links for them.
Just quickly, can I just say this? As a Newcastle fan, do you see James Trafford as a number one to Pope, or will you think it'll be really... we've got two number ones. Are we back there again?
It's such a good question, Cass. I think.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right.
Bottle that one up. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah, clip it up.
That's it.
Thanks very much, Ollie.
He's peaked before 7 o'clock.
I feel with Trafford, the key difference with Pope is Trafford is very capable with his feet and also obviously a very capable shot stopper. The reason why you might question whether he would come straight in as number one is just that experience. But what a brilliant season he had last time out with Burnley. He had that season in the Premier League, but you're playing for a relegated side. There are going to be some pretty tricky moments, and I think they would be bringing it in as competition, but I would be surprised if they're spending that money on a keeper if Trafford doesn't come in and stake his claim to be that number one.
Terrible answer, Ollie.
Oh, no. Ollie, thank you for being with us. Hope the recovery's going well, by the way.
Yeah, it's getting there.
You've still got the boot on?
Yeah, still there.
Oh, dear. Right, anyway, take care. That's
Cheers,
Ollie Klinkar.
Thanks very much, guys.
Our man in the know when it comes to transfers. And by the way, obviously we've already spoken about the England under-21s winning their second consecutive European Championship title after that 3-2 extra time win over Germany. So we want to know this morning, were you invested? How do you feel about the success? Did you celebrate any England success from any level, or is it senior side and nothing else for you? So we want to know, are you celebrating this morning? Are you as happy as... Oh, I'm pretty happy, I must say. I'm really happy that they've won. So are you as happy as me, or are you just like, well, it's just the under... It's a level that is interesting, but you're not as interested as a senior side. Send us a text at 81089. Send us a voice note to WhatsApp on 03717223344. That's where you can also leave us a message. We have got plenty more coming your way. In the next hour, we'll be talking about Leicester, what's next for them after Ruud van Nistelrooy has departed. We'll get more on that amazing Euros victory as well, as we've been saying. And how about this? We're going to be speaking to a man who cycled all the way from Edinburgh to Glastonbury. That's next. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is the former Marseille striker known as Tony Goal. Yes, it's Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Isn't this nice?
Yes.
Nice way to introduce the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
What you're listening to right now is All I Need by the musician Jack Cullen. But why are we playing it? Well, it's all to do with how do you get to Glastonbury? You know, you've heard about traffic jams and all the cars that have been heading down there. Lots of camper vans being packed up. Others perhaps braving the trains. Maybe some have been desperately trying to find a National Express that can get them down there. Well, Jack is in Glastonbury and he decided to take a slightly different route. He thought, best thing to do, go on 2 wheels, which, okay, if you live local, sounds great. Not if you're going from Edinburgh to Glastonbury. He had to set off on the 30th of May, did it with his childhood friend George as well. Did stop off, as you can imagine, along the way to perform some gigs at some quirky venues, including saunas. I mean, what on earth? An incredible 650 miles, 23 stops. He has, as I say, now safely arrived at Glastonbury, and he joins us live. Jack, how are the legs?
The legs are all right. They're fine, actually.
Very good. Well, good morning to you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. Go on, Cass. You want to ask the question of...
Well, I mean, most people will do it for different reasons, you know, like these long rides, and you just did it because you wanted to go Glastonbury, 650 miles. Did you just get up in the morning, Jack, and go, I'm going to do this incredible feat on this penny farthing, probably? Yeah.
You know what? I had I got this new big bike with the kind of the ability to have everything that we need on it. So I had all our clothes, our food, my guitar, more importantly, as I'm playing today at 2:50. So I wanted to kind of mark the moment. You only get to play your first Glastonbury once. So I thought to mark the release of my new single, All I Need, I was like, let's travel to Glastonbury with All I Need. How's it, really?
I mean, I like it. I like where you're going with that. And I've seen photos of you on your bike and arriving into Glastonbury. Okay. It's fair to say, Jack, you're not dressed like a Mark Cavendish or a Chris Froome. You know, you've got Birkenstocks on.
Yeah, I question all this lycra because, you know, the heavy cotton, although it's and the breathable kind of Birkenstocks, they don't clip into your pedals very well, and they do slip in the rain. But to be honest, I loved that we did it in that. It was unintentional, but it was fun.
You say we, so obviously,
yeah.
His friend with
so you had a friend with you doing it as well, which is great.
So one of my best mates who I've grown up with, George, brought him in as head of logistics, head of morale, tour manager, whatever it was. He was on it, and we just had the best time.
So Jack and George's travel guide.
That's it. That's it.
There's a TV program there somewhere. So why Edinburgh? Is that because one of you's based up there, or?
We just wanted to get as far away as we could. No reason really. We I reached out to lots of people, lots of like kind of fans. That was the point of this whole trip, is to be able to connect with fans along the way. Really, I wanted to be on the road, be really flexible. So we actually took a long time. We took what's just under a month really, and so we were able to worm our way through the country and on to kind of, as I released this song, it was a way to meet fans and play little gigs, like you say, along the way.
Did you find it very cathartic? Because obviously what you're doing, you're witnessing. I mean, I love the idea of going to places and where you use your eyes and you just look around, and when you go through somewhere on a bike, or you're walking, or all this stuff you pick up from going through towns and cities.
Absolutely, you are on the road, and you're completely. Like there's this one fan in particular, Michael, who's a lovely guy, and he drives down from Liverpool to London to every one of my gigs. And I've kind of got to know him through the years through that. And so we were in Manchester, and it was like a 4-hour cycle to Liverpool. And I was like, Michael, I'm going to come see you. So we met, and I just played him some songs one-to-one. And that's kind of that encompasses what this whole trip was about. Is like being on the road, meeting people face to face in weird and wonderful little gigs, and that's what it was all about.
What were the challenges then that you faced?
Wind.
I was going to say, was the weather an issue?
Yeah. Just all. I think just look, like I said, we took our time. We were able to be really flexible, and we were. So look, whilst it sounds, cycling that way is a long way, but we took our time, and we just made sure that we were having a good time.
Well, on the journey, you've said there you've met people along the way, the odd one in here. Now you're going to go in front of a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So, as that journey got the nerves,
Yeah, it's funny, really. I'd be cycling in a random place no idea where, and I'd just be like, what on earth are we doing? Oh yeah, we're going to Glastonbury, and so today's the day. Yeah, I think it's going to be. Yeah, I feel good. I feel ready. I've had a lot of time to think about it, and so we're good to go.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Really exciting for you. Obviously, you've been there. When did you arrive?
Arrived on. Oh my God! Thursday morning. Thursday morning.
Out of what you've been doing, the extreme cycling. You've done. No wonder you can't remember what day. So, who have you seen already then performing?
Oh wow! Seen Lola Young, seen Good Neighbours, saw the 1975, Marabou State, all the just weird and wonderful people around in between, just all the acts. It is just it's an amazing place full of just amazing people, and it's just it's a really beautiful place to be. It's my first time there, and I'm blown away.
Well,
fabulous.
Some Glastonburys are very wet and horrible. You've got a glorious.
But is it too hot?
Arguably too hot, to be honest. Although having played in the saunas along the way, I'm well equipped for the tent getting to 40 degrees in the morning.
How did you do it in a sauna?
No, it was. I say in the. It was just outside of the sauna in their place, and we saunaed with them all after. Which was really cool, but it was technically you're not
Okay, you've used a bit of artistic license there, Jack. That's all right.
Yeah, well,
that's what you do as a musician.
Getting the way of the big story, yeah.
Well, look, enjoy today and performing at Glastonbury. Thank you very much for being with us. It's a fantastic story. You're not cycling back, are you?
No, not at all.
No,
we carry on. We're swapping the bikes for a van. I'm on tour in Cornwall next week, so yeah.
Great
amazing,
stuff.
Amazing.
Good luck,
thank you for being
Thanks
with
a
us,
lot.
Jack. Great to have you on. And as I mentioned, All I Need was that song that we played at the top of the show or top of the hour. And if you happen to be listening at Glastonbury right now, 2:50 on the Wishing Well stage is where you can see Jack perform. So why not make a little journey down and say, I heard you on talkSPORT, and you might have a good old afternoon with Jack. Okay, we've been asking about the success of the under-21s who have won the European Championships, retaining their title, having beaten Germany in extra time, and whether or not you care. Now, I care. I think it's great. Success breeds success. That's how I see it. But it might not be something that was on your radar, and maybe it's all about the senior team and nothing else. We've had a few messages in. For example, Fraser in Newton Abbot says, I only really celebrate the senior men's team. I am happy if others do well, but it's not a big deal for me. Great show, so says Fraser. Andy in Somerset, though, he says, absolutely celebrate English success, regardless of sport, age group, as well as being the best in that age group. It also gives them the mentality to bring success to the senior squad. So it was a great achievement for Lee Carsley, his backroom staff, and the entire squad. If you've got a view, why not get in touch? Could be great to hear from you. What does that England win in Bratislava last night mean to you, or does it not really?
Well, it was weird, Nat, because there was no football atmosphere in the stadium. There's no singing of being quite tribal for your country. There was none
band
of that.
And all that.
It was quite strange, and yet it was it meant so much to that group, and you could see it afterwards.
It is. You're right to point that out. I suppose I'm trying to think, who do they sell the tickets to? And there were, obviously, you could see
family.
A lot of family and friends would have been there, and you don't expect many of them to start chanting, apart from maybe like waving at their own player that they know out there on the pitch, perhaps. But let us know what you think then. Are you happy that the England under-21s won last night? Does it register on, your scale of success when it comes to the international team? Why not get in?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking, like the songs and people say, you're getting sacked in the moon.
You don't know what you're doing. Yeah, they could have done that. Would have been like one of Harvey Elliott's family, like just shouting it out. Obviously, they didn't do that, and I've just used him as an example. 81089 is the text number. The WhatsApp is 03717 223344. That's where you can leave us a voice note as well. It's really simple to do. You just swipe on the mic icon and just say what you need to say. Okay, well, later on we're going to hear more from Lee Carsley, but up next we'll bring you some of the stories that have piqued our interest from the papers today. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast with a man who is known to the Marseille faithful as Tony Cascarino. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and we're with you until 10 o'clock this morning. Please do get in touch with your thoughts on the under-21s winning the European Championships. Did you go mad? Did you celebrate long into the night? Or are you one of those that's like, it's only the senior side that really matter. This one didn't really register. 81089 is the text number. The WhatsApp is 03717 2233 844, where you can also leave us a voice note. And by the way, this isn't a negative about the under-21s. We're just curious to know what you think. Both, I think what do you think, Cass? I haven't even asked you. Like I said, I know it's England, but just where does it register, those kind of tournaments at those sort of age levels?
I love sport. So when you love sport and then you see success, and yes, it's England, and I played for Ireland. I'd love it if the under-21s of Ireland could do something, even replicate success in the way that England did last night. And it was a great watch. And I enjoyed sport with the honesty and the credibility that you could give to all of these players for saying sometimes players get stereotyped so often about what they don't do and all on big money. You saw last night a determined group of lads. It was nothing about the money, trying to win a tournament as under-21s. And and I felt fair play to them.
Yeah. So that's what we want to hear from you this morning, your thoughts on it as well. Does this tournament even register for you, or are you distracted by other things that are ongoing? We'll have more on the under-21s throughout the show, but we're going to get to the papers, and both Cass and I have gone through them and picked out a couple that we wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with David Walsh, the chief sports writer for The Times. Brilliant, David, as a writer. And this was something I watched last weekend, and it was Tommy Fleetwood. And the headline is, Fleetwood can enter the bright new dawn after his darkest hour, just like McIlroy did. And the whole article now is about Tommy Fleetwood as a person, because look, he's a really lovely guy. I don't know him, but everyone speaks very highly. The way he handles himself, the way he talks. And he started the Travellers' 3-shot leader before the start of the round.
Yeah.
And out of the top 16 players, he was the only one over par because he obviously lost. And it's his journey through that experience of how he lost, because he's not won. He's had, I think, 41 top 10s in the PGA Tour,
right.
Which is a great return. So he's had loads of great performances
had a successful career
without winning. So he didn't win, and just going through some of the things, one of the major things that happened was he's going up the last with a 1-shot lead, and Keegan Bradley's playing alongside him, and Tommy ends up hitting a great drive. And this is where golf gets you, because it does your mind in. You see Tommy standing there, and he's got about 150 yards to go. He's got a 9-iron in his hand. He's indecisive about whether he's at the right club. They're looking at the wind. You know they do with golfers. They're checking. They start thinking, and the mind starts getting a bit scrambled. Tommy ends up going with a wedge. Hits the wedge 20 yards short. Then leaves the putt to 7 foot. Misses the 7-foot putt. Keegan Bradley obviously holds his putt to get a birdie. And, and Tommy gets interviewed afterwards, and this is what David mentioned in his piece about, how he answers the questions, how honest he could be. And he's asked that, about how he felt. And he went, upset, gutted, angry is how I felt. More than that, he said, it's the worst way to finish, leading by 2 with 3 to play and not even getting in the playoff. And that was a hard take for Tommy. It's in the grasp of his hand, that tournament at the Travellers, to win his first PGA event. Look, you could say, he's at 1.3 million for coming second, tied second. So I just always admired him as a golfer, and the way he conducts himself, and the way he's played in Ryder Cups. And it's a really great piece about how vulnerable golfers are, because I've known a few, and their circuit and their... we talk about football and overplaying, but golfers are literally away 6 days out of 7 every week if they're playing regularly.
And away from home all the time. I mean, it's really interesting. Chris Wood, who is English golfer, we've had him on a few times, haven't we, on the show? And I actually had to do an interview with him in midweek. And it was a really, really insightful interview, talking about himself, and he's very open about his mental health struggles and how he had to take time out from the game because he just could not deal with things that were going on. Now he's trying to get back his card, wants to get back to performing as high as he can, Ryder Cup and all that, because he's done all that before, and has done well at the Open as well. He's been in the top 5 in a couple of Opens. In fact, he was the best amateur in 2008. And he was just speaking about the fact individual sports people, it's so hard. When it goes wrong, it's hard. Something like Rory McIlroy, who of course has had so many successes and has finally completed that career Grand Slam, winning in Augusta, but since then has kind of had a disappointing run of form. And that might be down to the extreme highs that he's gone through, and now it's like, where do you go again? And how do you reset? How do you sort of refocus yourself? And Chris Wood actually was saying he should seek out people like Tiger Woods or Novak Djokovic, those that are repeat winners, and just say, well, how do I get myself going again once I've done what I wanted to achieve, first of all?
Well, it ends with,
really interesting.
you know, that this is a similar journey, and although McIlroy had won majors, that he had that pinnacle moment in his career. And I think that will happen with Tommy. I just think he's got the character. He's got a wonderful swing. I mean, he's the most elegant golfer you're ever going to see. You know, and I just hope, because of the type of person, don't know him, but the way he conducts himself, and he's got his mate on his bag, Ian Finnis, who looks after him, and you know, it's been a real tough week for him. But I think Tommy, and hopefully in the Open, you know, wouldn't it be just magnificent? I think he'd be the most popular winner ever, Tommy, if he won the Open.
Oh, gosh, absolutely. Yeah. And the Open beginning in a couple of weeks' time at Royal Portrush. I'm sure we'll be right across it for you. Speaking of majors, Wimbledon starts tomorrow, the third of 4 majors that takes place in tennis. And an interesting article that caught my eye in the Sunday Telegraph by Fiona Thomas goes with the headline, "My sport drives me nuts. Scrap the white kits." This is an article, an interview with the tennis legend that is Billie Jean King, and she's won 6 Wimbledon titles, we should point out, so she knows what she's talking about when it comes to Wimbledon and also majors, because she's won a lot. She's won everything there is to win when it comes to majors. Part of the interview is where she talks about the tradition of the white
kit. The outfit.
Yeah, that all players are expected to wear, and you have to wear at Wimbledon. It's the only tournament that insists on this.
Tradition, is it?
It's a tradition thing. And Billie Jean King, it just isn't in favour of it. And it wasn't really fully implemented until like the 90s, where it became really strict, because even in her day, when she was playing initially, you know, it wasn't as strict as it is now. I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I've said it many times. I quite like it. But she's saying that she feels like tennis are missing out on something. I mean, I'm not quite sure if I agree with this, but she says, for example, if you're watching Wimbledon and you suddenly turn on the TV, you might be there going, well, who's who? Who's playing who in this one? Because there's not a distinctive kit that they're wearing. And she says, I shouldn't have to look at a mark on the TV screen, perhaps indicating who's serving, to tell me who they are. I should be able to distinguish them merely by who they are in terms of how they look or in terms of their kit. She says they shouldn't have the same uniforms on. They both have white, and you should be able to change tradition. And part of her idea is that what they should have are names on their back. A bit of merchandising is coming into this. It's again about making money and monetizing the situation. And she was saying, because kids, that's how kids recognise a lot of sports people, with their numbers on their back, with their names on their back, and that's something she thinks tennis is missing out on. So it's not, as people might have thought initially looking at it, thinking, oh, she's talking about, you know, maybe feminine hygiene and issues with that, with wearing white. It's more about monetizing the sport and making sure people get the most out of it.
Yeah, tough one, because I think there's certain sports that this is a no-go area. Thinking of having tennis with their names on the back of their shirts. That's real anti, you know, the traditions of what Wimbledon are about. I don't quite get that. I don't know if I'd like the idea, but then, you know, who am I to judge on whether, you know, they should have their shirt?
We just can't envisage it.
No, I can't.
And how do you pick your number?
Yeah.
Because, again, she's alluding to the fact, like someone like a Federer, well, they could have retired his number, whatever number that would be.
Yeah.
7, is that?
We don't have to copy every sport. Has to do the same things, do you?
No,
you don't have to.
I'm thinking
there is something you could be the exception to the rule, can't you?
Yeah, and look, Wimbledon's only 2 weeks of a year.
Yeah.
So, and I think most people who watch Wimbledon, majority are tennis fans.
Yeah.
So they kind of already know who those players are in the main. Yes, there'll be some that you don't know, but that's like anything.
Yeah.
You know, you can't know every single football player in the world. So, interesting that she's looking at the monetizing of it and how more can be done. But I think for now we're quite happy as it is.
Yeah, I like it the way it is.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Okay, we're going to bring you more on the England under-21s after they retained their European Championship trophy last night. Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is the former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. And you know that Oasis are back and that reunion is just around the corner. It's sold out, but we can get you in. We've got 2 tickets to their Manchester gig on July the 19th. And if you want to know how to get involved, then listen up. Not only do we have those tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel and we're going to give you $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. So, how do you enter? Here you go.
Alright, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you gotta do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
And we wish you the best of luck. OK, let's get more on that glorious night then for the Young Lions in Bratislava. A dramatic 92nd minute winner even in extra time from Jonathan Rowe sealed a 3-2 win for England's under-21s over Germany. A thriller that pretty much had everything. It's back-to-back titles now for Lee Carsley's side, who showed resolve, resilience, genuine quality and character to get over the line in extra time. And here's how it all unfolded live on talkSPORT.
No nation has ever won back-to-back under-21 European Championships. And he'll drop to Elliott in the area, and he's rolled it in!
No one can stop this player.
Elliott with a delightful dink up the middle, and James McAtee, the England captain, is clear. Can he poke it into the path of Hutchinson in the area? He does! Hutchinson! 2-0 to England!
2-0, and we have to say, it's been coming.
Nabel dribbles down the left and then checks back onto his left foot away from Stansfield, and the header is in! Germany have got one back. It's Viper.
One goal, momentum changes. England just need to keep focused.
Nabel onto the right foot. Oh, what a wonderful goal! Into the top corner. It is a Germany equaliser. What a final in the under-21 Euros on talkSPORT. Drop to Nabel. He's hit the bar. Via the deflection. Germany nearly win it. Extra time is looming. Back to Morton, who delivers a great cross. Header in! John Rowe!
Unbelievable start to the extra time.
It is history for England's under-21s. A 4th European Championship title. England's young guns are kings of Europe again. The ticker tape goes off. McAtee hoists the trophy high up into the air.
A terrific night then for the under-21s, and after the game Lee Carsley said he hopes that the success of his side can transfer to the senior team.
I think with the DNA, the DNA is a brilliant document, but you have to live it. You know, you have to believe in it. You have to make sure that we're putting the right players in the right camps from under-15s right the way through to the senior team, and it's a great document that we often refer to. And it's shown that we are capable of winning at this level in terms of 17s, 19s, and 21s. And what we can't forget is that we're here to support the senior team. That's our main goal, is to push players through to the seniors and hopefully win a World Cup or European Championships.
So England have won back-to-back titles, emulating the last team to do it, which was Spain in 2011 and 2013. Jonathan Rowe, then, the Marseille winger, stepped up in extra time to write his name into the history books with a glancing header just a minute after he'd come on at the start of extra time. Now, there was plenty of debate about his inclusion in the squad, but England boss Lee Carsley had this to say after the final whistle.
Jonathan's done so well when he has got opportunity at Marseille, and he fully deserves being in the squad, and he'd have probably thought at some point that he was out of the selection, but he's more than deserved to be part of it. And he started a few games, come on a sub and made a real impact, and his enthusiasm around the hotel and training has been infectious.
Do you know, as soon as that goal went in, I thought, Cass is going to love that header. It's everything that you love about it. I mean, maybe you didn't get as low as often, but you know,
no,
it was terrific glancing.
Do you know, I've had this debate with people, and we talk. You know, when you say people are left-footed, right-footed, and I say, well, there's people in heading who head the balls different way. You can flick things on, you can direct them, you can loop them, looping headers. I said there's a lot of skill in heading, you know, and that flicked header where you don't get great contact, but enough just to divert it into a far corner.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really gifted sort of thing to be able to do that, because it's easy to mishead. You know, when sometimes you get, and that was my biggest strength. I always used to say one of the great things about John Terry as a centre half was that he was brilliant at finding headers to his colleagues. He didn't head them like 30 yards. You know, like a lot of defenders could get great distance on their headers. You go, wow, look at the leap, bang, and he literally heads it away. But you have players who are very, you know, they have a lot of guile with their ability with their head as well. And I worked really hard on heading. So, yeah, I do love them sort of goals, because it is sort of coming out the game, as we know, for other reasons. But last night was a big one, and especially for Jonathan Rowe, you know, who's had a tough year at Marseille. You know, he's been subbed more often than not. He's only started about 6 Ligue 1 games. He's had lots of sub appearances. He's been on the bench and come on. And he openly admitted himself that he's had a really tough year. And that move from Norwich, it was initially a loan period with a 15 million buyout that they're obliged to do Marseille. It'll do him the world of good, because, you know, it's not easy going abroad. It's not. Especially for young lads. We sometimes we look like at, say, Bellingham, who went to Dortmund and it was seamless and it was all great. There are challenges for many lads who go abroad.
Yeah, and maybe later on the show we'll focus on that and get your thoughts on it, because you know what it's like having done it, albeit at a later age and a later part of your career. But the Jonathan Rowe story, people might not know a lot about him. I mean, maybe Norwich fans would know him because he was at Norwich before moving to Marseille. But again, there will be a lot of people that will look at the under-21 squad. There'll be a few names there. You think, oh, I don't know him. I don't know much about him. And as I say, he's now written his name into folklore, having scored that winning goal. And to do it just a minute after you come on, gosh, what a feeling that must have been for him. But it comes with pressure. You're asked to go on because they're expecting you to deliver something.
Well, England needed something slightly different, because Jay Stanfield runs his socks off and literally makes openings for other players. He does that all the time. But they had no real focal point at the centre-forward position, which, you know, the winning goal for England was typical of, you know, we were looking at the boy Morton to get on the ball and literally deliver it to a perfect situation. And he's not the biggest, Jonathan Rowe. He's not the biggest, but it's a ball that's nearly impossible to defend because it's whipped in so quickly, considers taking a touch, and the defender gets caught flat-footed, and that allows you to get behind someone and get a split-second decision. Look, really good. I would imagine for him that was a really big moment in his career, and it should be, for getting a goal in a competition that enables England to win the under-21 Euros. Yeah, great for him. And great booster.
Personal story, I don't know if you know much about it, is quite incredible.
I've heard bits.
Well, as I say, he moved to Norwich into their academy in 2014, but it wasn't exactly an easy transition, based on the fact he had to commute 3 hours a day, first of all, because at just 11 years old, he was helping care for his ill mother and also help raise his sister, which you can't imagine at 11. Having to have all that responsibility, and then to be getting on a train, going to Norwich, doing academy work, coming back. He also has had to tackle the Osgood-Schlatter disease, the growing pains that teenagers can sometimes suffer with their knees and growth spurts, for example, and that can be very painful for those that go through it. So, you know, just all those little elements, when you read about it, you think, crikey, wow, what a story. And then you go on, as we saw yesterday, to score that winner. It's fantastic.
Well, obviously, if he's looking after his sister and his mum, he's got real morals and principles about, you know, having to do that. And he's a caring person. And, you know, again, I talk about stereotyping, which we all do, and there's many footballers that have different challenges, and I've met a few over my career, and you sometimes and even players I've never spoke about some of the challenges they've had from their younger days, and and then into the football world where it's all glamour, it's all fantastic, it's money, and you can your life's changed forever. Well, yeah, it's to a degree, but there's also sides to the story that are not so glamorous and hard and challenging. And hopefully that, he can move real forward very, very quickly now. And establish himself at Marseille, because De Zerbi at Marseille has done really, really well. They've got Champions League football next year. Hopefully for Jonathan Rowe, he can play some part. I mean, they've got some sort of English influence, because some who have played in England. Højbjerg's there, Pierre Højbjerg, who was at Spurs. They've got Mason Greenwood at Manchester United. They've got Neil Maupay's there.
Yes, that's right.
At Marseille. So they've got. So he's got people. Because there are challenges, and I know we're talking about that later.
Yes, we certainly will.
So it's a really nice story, isn't it?
It is a nice story, and also that story of proving a point. Because as we mentioned, there were people questioning his inclusion in the squad, but Lee Carsley, as we were hearing from, delighted that he was part of the squad. Obviously delighted that he scored the winning goal.
Isn't
Absolutely.
He? Rightly.
Absolutely. But we'll talk more about what it means to move abroad and how difficult it can sometimes be, especially at a young age. A little bit later on, get your thoughts on it as well, Cass. But we've also been asking for you to get in touch about this tournament, what it means to you. Were you invested in it? Did you celebrate wildly last night when England won, or did it not really register for you? And it seems a lot of you love it. Absolutely love it. Louis or Lewis, I'm going with Louis, I hope that's right, Southampton fan, says, as a football fan, of course I watched it throughout the whole tournament. I celebrated the goals last night and woke the wife and daughter up celebrating Jonathan Rowe's goal in extra time. I will watch any England team in a major tournament and will be tuning into Women's Euros as well. He says, as a Southampton fan, I need to celebrate football again after the season we've had. We hear you. And this is from Rob, who's a Brighton fan, says, I prefer under-21s England because they don't stink the place out like the senior team. Harsh. It's faster, he says, more dedication from the players and more desire to win. And I'm so pleased our two young Brighton lads were part of this incredible team. There you go.
Yeah, good words.
If you've got a view on it, please let us know this morning. We would love to hear from you. 81089 is the text number. You can also WhatsApp us on 03717 223344. You can leave us a voice note. Share your thoughts that way, because sometimes it's just easier, isn't it, than typing, especially at this time of the morning. So why not do that, because it'd be great to hear from you. Right, we're going to be taking a pause from all the drama of last night. We'll continue to read your messages out, though. Leicester City's search for a new manager continues. We'll get the latest from talkSPORT's Midlands reporter and Leicester fan, Jeff Peters, next. Good morning. Thank you very much for tuning into the Weekend Sports Breakfast this Sunday morning. With me is a man who was given the given the freedom of the French city of Nancy. That's Tony Cascarino, and I'm Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10 this morning. Here are some of your headlines. England under-21s dramatically defended their European title with a thrilling extra-time win over Germany. The British and Irish Lions cruised to an 8-try, 54-7 victory against Western Force in the first game of their tour on Australian soil. And with the Austrian Grand Prix getting underway today, here's Tom Clayton with everything you need to know ahead of race weekend at the Red Bull Ring.
Well, Lando Norris was in a league of his own yesterday. He was absolutely flying half a second faster than anyone else around a circuit that realistically takes you 64 seconds to get around in one go. The Ferrari's Charles Leclerc starts second. Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, goes from third. He couldn't complete a lap at the end of qualifying, though, due to a spin from Pierre Gasly on the main straight. The same was said for Max Verstappen, who's going to start all the way down in seventh. Looking forward to an exciting Grand Prix, which starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Brilliant, Tom. Thank you very much. And Piers Pryor will have updates then from this Austrian Grand Prix from 2 once it gets underway right here on talkSPORT. Right, what on earth is going on at Leicester? Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge. After taking over from Steve Cooper last season, wasn't able to save Leicester from relegation, and then on Friday it was decided he was going to leave by mutual consent. With the championship season just around the corner, the Foxes are possibly back to square one. What on earth is going to happen to them next? One of the names linked with the role is a man we heard from earlier on in the show. It's the former Burnley and Everton boss Sean Dyche. But would he be the right fit for a club trying to bounce straight back to the Premier League? The former Leicester and England striker Emil Heskey was on talkSPORT earlier in the week and was very clear on the kind of manager the club needs in their current predicament.
I think they need someone who understands the fight, understands the city a little bit, because again, you've got to understand the fan base and understand who Leicester are as a club and understand the fight that's going to go on in the Championship. I played in the Championship with Bolton, and it's tough, it's relentless. And it's only going to get even more tougher because of the money that's available when you go up. Everyone wants to have a go. So you need someone who understands that fight that's going to be had week in, week out.
Okay. Joining us to talk all things at Foxes then, it is talkSPORT's East Midlands man, Jeff Peters. Jeff, how are you?
Good morning to you.
Hi, Jeff.
What a mess at Leicester at the moment.
Yeah. Well, 2016 feels a long time ago, Jeff, doesn't it now?
Yeah. Do you know what? It will obviously be 10 years next year.
Yeah.
It was. I still, when I think about it now, I think, did that really happen? Did the stars really align and Leicester win the Premier League, and it'll be 5 years next year since Leicester won the FA Cup, and one of the most fantastic days in the club's history. But the last 3 years or so, it's just unravelled really badly, and it's such a shame that they weren't able to kick on from the position they were in.
Jeff, it seems from after the pandemic, it affected Leicester more than any other club. And then the financial issues that are clearly at the football club, and you've had points deductions, and, where is this? It seems to be unravelling in front of our eyes, and Leicester haven't really found a solution to anything at the moment, have they?
No, I mean, the relegation was 2-3 years ago. Given that the previous season to that they'd finished 8th and got to a European semi-final, the fact that it went so bad so quickly that they got relegated, I mean, that took everybody by surprise. Yes, they bounced back at the first attempt under Enzo Maresca. And then just muddled thinking once again after he left, with some of the contracts that were handed out, some of the signings that were made. And, after the way that Maresca played, they went for Steve Cooper, a very different style of football. And then they decided after 12 games that he wasn't the right man. And Van Nistelrooy came in, someone with a glittering career as a player, but just couldn't transfer as a manager, and it was just terrible. 19 defeats in the 27 league matches. It was horrific. And now they're looking at a situation where they need a new manager. They may well be getting a hefty points deduction as well. There's a big job ahead for whoever comes in this summer. Do the club know already who they want? Or are they just kind of fishing around in the dark for, who are we going to go for next?
Well, as we were saying, Sean Dyche is one of those that's being tipped to take over. Is he the kind of manager you think could get Leicester straight back up?
Well, it kind of depends on what sort of points deduction they get. Do they get 6 points? Do they get 15 points? If they get 6 points deduction, then it would be a lot easier than if you get, say, 15 points or even more than that, depending on how the authorities want to punish Leicester for PSR issues. But Sean Dyche clearly is a manager with great experience. He knows how to get teams out of the Championship, knows how to keep teams in the Premier League. Would he be, I use this word, progressive enough for some of the fan base? Would they rather have somebody who is maybe younger and has got a bit more to prove, that hasn't necessarily got that experience? Do they go for someone like Danny Roll, who looks like he's on his way out at Sheffield Wednesday? He sort of appears to be the second favourite to Sean Dyche. And then, Michael Carrick, Gary O'Neill, both available, Chris Wilder. Liam Rosenior's name has been mentioned, although I cannot see Liam Rosenior looking at Leicester at the moment and going, yeah, that looks like a good choice for me. So I think he would be, I think it would be an excellent choice, but I really don't think he would touch Leicester with a barge pole. But then, would Sean Dyche fancy it? Okay, from an area of where he lives, he might sort of think, yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. And yes, it would be a good challenge. How big a challenge is it? Well, with a points deduction and the way that the club has been run, people, even though I still think it is a relatively attractive proposition for someone to want to come in at Leicester. It doesn't you both know this. It doesn't matter which club it is, which division, how the club has been run. There are always so many people who are desperate to be a manager. Would Sean Dyche fancy the mess that Leicester are in at the moment? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Jeff, that, when that you see sometimes how many people on the list of candidates for a job, you're actually amazed there's like plus 100, like all sorts of candidates from all different parts of the world. Just to ask you one more question, which I think is really vital, because players are coming out of contract now this summer, and there's also, I think, there's a huge number coming out in the next year, the end of the season. So Leicester have really got to do a massive rebuild as well.
Yeah, and obviously they've lost Jamie Vardy, who has been the talisman for over a decade, and that is going to take some getting used to, given what he's produced for the club over a long period of time. There are players on contracts earning ridiculous amounts of money that sometimes you just scratch your head thinking, why were they given these contracts? Why have they spent this amount of money on this player? Are there going to be more departures this summer? I think that they certainly have got one or two very talented young players coming through who, and of course, fans want to see youngsters given those opportunities. We saw the likes of Jeremy Monga towards the end of last season. Jake Evans got a few minutes. They're players that fans are very excited about. But yeah, I think if any player, any offer comes in for a player this summer, that the club would definitely consider it. But trying to get rid of players on big contracts is difficult.
Oh, a tricky summer ahead. Jeff, I sympathise. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jeff.
Absolute pleasure. Take care, guys.
We've got loads still to come in the next 2 hours of the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We'll continue to celebrate England's under-21 success. We'll speak to the former Chelsea and Benfica defender Scott Minto about that clash between his old sides last night at the Club World Cup, which kept him up very late. He wasn't expecting that. And next, we'll talk about the Lionesses' hopes at the Euros with former England striker Natasha Dowie. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV as well. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Crockenhill and Gillingham striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
We have got a stacked couple of hours still to go. We will be speaking to the former Chelsea and Benfica defender Scott Minto about Chelsea's progress to the quarter-finals of the Club World Cup. We'll discuss the number of English players heading abroad and how much that could benefit the national team. And we will be discussing the Lions' win against Western Force in Australia. Plus, we'll continue to get your thoughts on whether you celebrated England's under-21 success last night, or was it something you didn't even care about or think about? Drop us a text, 81089, or send us a WhatsApp to 03717 223344. We're not bashing it in any way. We're both very much delighted that we saw success last night. We're just curious to know where it registers for you in terms of success. Speaking of which, the Lionesses are gearing up to defend their European crown as the Euros begin in Switzerland.
They've taken us on a journey that has been history made.
England try to defend it. Toon sends it forward. Russo runs over the halfway line, and they have done it. England are European champions for the first time in their history. The Lioness fairy tale has its perfect ending.
It's so special. It's just incredible.
But out in Australia, it was heartbreak and pain.
And that is it. Spain are the World Cup winners, and it is heartache for the Lionesses.
We just weren't anywhere near it today. We looked like the occasion got the better of us.
But now in Switzerland, a chance lies ahead.
When you win, everyone's gunning for you then, so the expectation rises and then other teams want to beat you. You're the team to beat.
We know they have a very tough group.
The Lionesses will be without Bright, Fran Kirby and Mary Earps, three integral players in the squad when they won the Euros back in 2022.
Will the England Lionesses be champions again?
Opportunity for Russo inside the penalty area, finds the corner. Alessia Russo for England. See it away, but it's back to Mead, edge of the area, turns right-footed, drives the ball into the net, and England lead.
Now we've got that taste of what that felt like. The players and the staff want it again.
England know the real way to show they are number one act is to win the European Championships. The Lionesses have a great chance to do that at this summer's Festival of Football.
Stand by for drama. It is tournament football. Only the result matters.
Wow, what a summer it was when they won the Euros then last time out. England's defence of their title begins on Saturday, the 5th of July, for an 8 o'clock local time kick-off, 7 p.m. UK time, when they take on France before facing previous Euros winners, the Netherlands and also Wales. debutantes in Group D, with all 3 games live on talkSPORT. It is a new look Lionesses squad, but the belief remains the same. England boss Sarina Wiegman joined That Lionesses podcast last week and said that whilst the last Euros win was unforgettable, this group is hungry to write their own chapter.
No, there's many players who have the experience of the Euros 22. So I always say, cherish these moments. We'll never forget it. It's something amazing happening in our lives, in our journey. But we have to move on too. So we have that experience. We use these experiences. But now we have a new team. We're going to a new tournament. And we're trying to chase more. And we're trying to be at our best. And that's what we can control, to be at our best. So we want to be the best prepared team. We want to be the best bonded team. We want to be fit and fresh together. And then, when we're at our best, the chance of winning is as high as possible. And I know this team is so ambitious, and so is the staff. And yes, we're going to go for it again.
Well, it's not going to be easy. There's some tough teams to get past if they are to win the trophy once more. Delighted to say, joining us then to speak all things Lionesses in the Euros, it's former England international Natasha Dowie. Natasha, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Very, very well. Thank you very much for being there. First things first, really. One final game to come, Jamaica tonight in a friendly, before they then have to head out to begin that defence of their title. But just get your thoughts. I know the squad was announced a long time ago now, but how strong is this Lioness squad?
I think it's really strong. I think a lot of talk has obviously been on Bright, Fran Kirby, the players that aren't going to be involved. But I think when you look at the competition within this Lionesses squad, I think personally it's one of the strongest squads in the tournament with regards to depth. And I think when you talk about those players that went on and won it in 2022, when you could kind of predict the starting 11, you've got probably a good 7 or 8 of those that were involved. So you've got some fresh young talent coming through. Beaver Jones, I'm so excited to see her involved. Park, the young centre forwards as well. It's just so exciting for me. But then you've got those experienced players as well, like Leah Williamson, Alex Greenwood. So I think it's a really nice blend. The group is tough. So if we can get through the group, I think that's the main thing. And I think France is probably going to be the toughest game to start off. But with these Lionesses, playing at club level, winning Champions League games, winning trebles at club level, it's the norm now to play in these big games. And I don't think they feel the pressure anymore.
Well, Natasha, it's like all things. You 22, from 22 to 20, where you are now, 25.
Yep.
It evolves, it changes. You lose some, you get some come in, some develop quick, come into the side. But you've also seen the success of Arsenal in the Champions League, which carries a bit more weight of having a team that's, won the Champions League. So there's players from all different clubs, are going to join, but also Arsenal winning does help the England team.
Oh, absolutely it does. Yeah, and I think that the Chelsea women's team has had that success for the last 3 or 4 years, which has absolutely helped at international level. But now with the line, Arsenal, Beth Mead, I think Chloe Kelly has been an amazing story. If we talked maybe about 6 months, her position maybe under threat to even make the Euros, wasn't enjoying her football, wasn't playing at Man City, to then get that loan move to Arsenal and be probably one of their star players. And now for me, potentially even a starter in the Euros. I think that's what we want to see. Russo's in great form. And I think the most important thing is, and what I believe with these players, is that they're hitting form at the right time. And I think that's so key. Stanway as well, who was kind of out with Bayern Munich for a few months of injury. She's got good minutes now heading into the tournament. Same with Alex Greenwood. So I really do feel like everyone's going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We've been obviously talking about the England under-21s and the men's team winning the European Championships like they did yesterday in Bratislava. But what was really interesting about them is they have been a team that's just grown and grown in this tournament. They didn't have the best of group campaigns, but managed to do enough to get through. And as tough as this group is for the Lionesses, as long as you get through, it doesn't really matter what happens afterwards, because it's knockout football. You're going to come up against the best of the very best. And it's just about making sure that when you are in those knockout games, you're growing and you're as, characterful and comfortable as you can possibly be.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I think really, to be honest, the last World Cup, that's kind of what happened with the Lionesses. I think their performances in the group stages were actually quite poor, and they kind of scraped through, winning 1-0s, 2-1s against nations that you would have expected them to win quite comfortably. But then again, it's talking about momentum. The only difference I would say is you have to hit the ground running in this group stage. You know, you can't build your way in. It's France straight away, game one. And I think it's, for me, that's a must-win game, because I believe France and England are probably the two teams that are going to progress through. And then you build momentum from that. But yeah, I think also in a way it helps to have the tougher group, because, you know, you obviously get to hopefully knock out one of the stronger nations. And then you really, you know, hit that ground running, like I said. And then when you get into the knockout stages, then hopefully every single game you grow. And we want to see England in another final. Last two majors, they've been in the two finals. So I expect the same this tournament.
What are you expecting against Jamaica tonight?
I think it's going to be a really good game. Jamaica have got some top players. We all know that. I think Serena Wiegmann doesn't tend to mix it up too much. So I think probably the team that you see tonight potentially will be the team that starts against France. She might get a few more minutes under players that haven't had a lot of game time. Hemp obviously missed, I think, 5 months of the season at City. So I think that's really important, that players keep growing with their minutes. But I'm excited. It has to be a win. You know, we want to win our last game heading into the tournament. A good performance, potentially a clean sheet, hopefully, as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It is going to be really fascinating, this tournament. One person I wanted to mention, actually, with regards to Spain. I don't know if you saw this, with regards to Aitana Bonmati, who's been treated in hospital for viral meningitis. You know, two-time, well, she's won the Ballon d'Or the last 2 years. She's such a fantastic player, and we know how great Spain are as well. Now, hopefully she will be fine in terms of her health, and they are monitoring her situation and hope that she will be fine to compete in the Euros. But in terms of a blow, if she doesn't make it or isn't fit enough, I mean, how big is that in your eyes?
It's huge. And Spain are favourites for this tournament. I think that's quite clear. But when I talk about squad depth, personally, I don't think you can replace Bonmati. You know, when I look at that midfield of Putellas, Patricia, who all three of them play at Barcelona together. You've got Vicky Lopez, who's a young talent coming through, who did well in their last game. I think she scored for Spain. But for me, Bonmati, she's the best player in the world. You know, so when you talk about Spain being favourites, I think if Bonmati isn't involved, I think that changes things a lot in my opinion. So, you know, obviously we want England to win, but I think every fan wants to see the best player in the world being involved in this tournament. And their group allows them to maybe rest her if she isn't fully fit, because I think they'll dominate their group, give her the time she needs, and then hopefully when they make the knockout stages, she can then, you know, progress in the tournament and have her impact. I think she'll be huge.
Yeah. Portugal, Belgium and Italy are the teams in that group for Spain. Natasha, it's going to be fascinating. I know you're going to be part of it, so enjoy it all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Natasha.
For being with us.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
Great to have you with us this morning. We should point out that what they've said about Bonmati's situation is, you know, the word meningitis is obviously quite a scary word to sort of mention, but they say it is fully controlled and we'll wait for her as long as they can, is what they say. And according to the NHS, viral meningitis is less serious than the bacterial one, and that normally within 7 to 10 days people can get better and be treated even at home, for example. So in the sense of her health, thankfully should be okay, and will hopefully play a part for Spain at the Euros. England taking on France then in their opening game of this Euros tournament, and we're bringing you commentary from it. In fact, Natasha Dowry will be on commentary duty for it. She'll be alongside Joe Shannon and Adrian Durham as well, and it all kicks off this week, and that is on the Saturday, as we were saying, wasn't it? 8 o'clock kickoff for that one. Coming up next, we'll get the latest odds from Coral, and later on we'll be speaking to Scott Minto, who played for both Chelsea and Benfica, who just so happened to play each other in the Club World Cup last night, which turned out to be quite a marathon. You're tuning into the Weekend Sports Breakfast this Sunday morning with a man who once got 2 assists in an FA Cup semi-final.
Yes.
Tony Cascarino. Phew, we got that right. And I'm Natalie Sawyer with you until 10. Some of the headlines for you today. England's under-21s dramatically defended their European title with a thrilling extra-time winner over Germany in Bratislava. The British and Irish Lions cruised to an 8-try, 54-7 victory against Western Force in the first game of their tour on Australian soil. And former Premier League winger Jermaine Pennant joined Ollie Klink on kickoff yesterday and commented on the latest innovations in the Premier League regarding the new season's TV coverage. It's been announced that substituted players will be interviewed during games. Pennant doesn't think it'll work.
I can't see that working here. You know, if you sub him, just imagine you subbing Bruno Fernandes off at 16 minutes, he's going to be losing his rag. Yeah. If I was to get subbed at Stoke, for example, and then put Tony Pulis would put Ryan Shine on, I'll be effing the blindness. Then why are you bringing this guy on? No disrespect to Ryan Shine, he was a centre back, and for some reason Tony Pulis put him right wing because he was quick. He had a throw. No, genuinely speaking, yes, that was why. Yeah. 100%.
How fuming were you after that?
I was raging, absolutely raging. So were the fans. And if I had a mic in my face, I probably wouldn't play for the rest of the season because and you give me a call down, I'm going home after that game, and I'm still raging, especially if we lost as well. And I'm coming in the next day, and I'm moody, you know, sulking. So I can't see this working here. Yeah. I can't see, you know. Just imagine you're getting spanked 3-0 by Liverpool, and then someone's got a mic in your face saying, how did that go for you? Yeah, I thought it was quite well. We're losing 3-0, but it's okay. It's just not going to work out. Our football is not like that.
Yeah,
there will be some good interviews, even, and I understand what Jermaine is saying, that you know there are going to be some spiky ones, and people are going to probably give the answer you're not going to like too often. But I think it'll be. I'll wait and see on that one. It could make good TV as well.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I wonder if you can refuse to do it. You know, obviously managers are expected as part of their contract.
Yeah, I was going to say mandated to do it. Yeah,
but I don't know if it's going to be a part of a player's contract. You have to do a substitute, interview.
See, it's been brilliant in golf in America because you're not mandated to do interviews. So Rory McIlroy literally skip loads of them.
Yeah.
But when you do get them, and especially with American, you get some spiky ones and some, you know, you might not like what you hear, but it's entertainment at the end of the day. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how it works, but I do understand Jermaine's point. There is a point to it where, well, if you are 4-0 down, but I'm not sure anyone will go ahead of you feel. I don't think that'd be the question if you're 4-0 down.
But also, maybe you just don't go to that team at that point. Maybe you're just speaking to the substitutes of the team that's doing really well. I don't know. That'll be all part of how the broadcasters decide what's the story to do.
There'll be some funny lines that, without doubt. Yeah, so, there will be.
I'm sure. Lots of new innovations coming your way when it comes to broadcasting of the Premier League, with even cameras in the dressing room. We'll be able to see more of what goes on behind the scenes. It's time now to bring you the latest odds from Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. Celebrating 50 years of the Coral Eclipse. Oh, that's golden. 18+, gambleaware.org.
A very good morning to John Hill. How are you?
Hi, John.
Good morning, Nat. Good morning, Cass. Yeah, really good, thank you. And fantastic, wasn't it, for the under-21s last night to defend their European Championship success. Really nervy, wasn't it, going into extra time, but great to get the job done. And, you know, that should give Thomas Tuchel, who was in attendance, a lot of confidence that, there are some stars for the future in the national team.
Did the 90-minute play bet pay dividends for you, John?
Look, a draw is always a good result, Cass, as you know, for bookmakers, isn't it? So we certainly weren't complaining, and probably the perfect result, really, because, we still want England to do well in the event. So draw is always good for bookmakers. So, yeah, I'm sure nobody will be complaining this morning from a bookmaker's point of view.
No.
Okay, well, let's look ahead to some more football then coming our way today. The Club World Cup, the knockout stages. Chelsea already through. They'll be taking on a Brazilian side in the quarterfinals. PSG taking on Inter Miami. The Lionel Messi derby. And then later on, Flamengo against Bayern Munich. So let's start with that PSG game, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, no surprise, PSG warm favourites in this one, Natalie. They're 1-12 to qualify for the next round. Inter Miami with Lionel Messi in the side, 6-1 to cause a big upset. Messi's going to be the big star in light, isn't he, for the American side? He's 8-1 to score the first goal in the game today. But they're up against it, as I say, 6-1 to qualify. And then later on, Brazilian side Flamengo take on Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich 1-3 favourites. Flamengo 3-1. So we're expecting the two European giants to qualify today, PSG and Bayern Munich. But you mentioned Chelsea yesterday. They were pushed to extra time, weren't they? That late Angel Di Maria penalty forced it into extra time. They're 8-1 now to go on to lift this trophy, and a great opportunity, I guess, Cass, because I think at the start of this tournament, not many people were mentioning them. It was City, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern who was talked about, but Chelsea, what are they now? 3 games away from winning this.
Yeah, they are. I think Palmeiras is going to be a real tough one for them. They're a very well organised, tactical team. It's going to be a tough game for Chelsea, that one. So, yeah, but they're in that position to try and beat them.
Absolutely,
so, yeah, John. John, Austrian Grand Prix. Lando Norris is on pole. So how are you pricing it out?
Yeah, 2-5 favourite Lando Norris. He said that lap yesterday was as close to perfection as you could possibly get. So really impressed with himself, the British rider. And a great opportunity to close that gap, obviously, at the top of the standings on Oscar Piastri. What is he? About 28 points ahead of him at the moment, is his fellow McLaren driver. So, yeah, hopefully if Norris can prevail today, he'll close that gap. So Norris 2-5. The one that's been backed a little bit each way is Charles Leclerc 7-1. So I think he's alongside, isn't he, Norris on the grid in second place. So that gets underway later this afternoon. So Norris 2-5 favourite.
And any racing to look forward to? Of the horse variety, I should say.
Yeah, Irish Derby today, guys, in Ireland at the Curragh. So we've actually got the first 3 horses from the Epsom Derby. Lamborn, who prevailed in the race. He's looking to do a double. Lazy Griff, who finished second, then Tennessee Stud. So the top 3 from Epsom heading to the Curragh, but no surprise, Aidan O'Brien absolutely dominates this race. 16 victories to his name, including the last 2 winners, Auguste Rodin in 2023 and Los Angeles in 2024. So Lamborn's going to be a popular favourite. He's a shade of odds on at the moment at 5-6. To add to his Epsom success. Ryan Moore, the man for the big occasion, he's on board today. So they'll be looking to try and beat Lamborn in the Irish Derby.
Fantastic. John, enjoy Sunday. Thank you.
Cheers, John.
Guys.
That was a look at the latest odds with Coral. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Please do gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. Celebrating 50 years of the Coral Eclipse. Oh, that's golden. 18+, GambleAware.org.
We've got loads more still to come before Sean Custis and Henry Winter take over with the Sunday edition at 10. We're going to be discussing the British and Irish Lions after their victory over Western Force, which was live on talkSPORT yesterday. Former Scotland international Jim Hamilton will be with us. We'll be speaking to a man who never sits on the fence. It's the former Brentford manager Martin Allen about Keith Andrews' appointment as their new head coach. But up next, we're going to be joined in the studio by musician Danny Addison.
It's your touch, your taste, your pheromone keeps me coming back and gets me so wild.
Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast with the best poker player at talkSPORT, Tony Cascarino. I mean, everyone else is terrible, so not the highest of standards, but you are pretty good, to be fair. I'm Natalie Sawyer, we're with you until 10. And this is Pheromone by Danny Addison, one of many songs on his debut album, Porcelain. And I'm delighted to say that Danny joins us in the studio right now. How are you, Danny?
Hi, Danny.
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah,
really
good.
Well, thank you for joining us and being with us today. This is great, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you.
Love it. It's got a nice, like...
Great feel.
Yeah, it has. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Danny, let's talk about you and music and how it all began for you.
How it began was probably through my mum. She was really wanting to get us into music. Me and my brothers, I've got two brothers. When we were about 5, she was like, I want you to play the violin. That was just, I don't know.
I started the violin as well.
Yeah.
Grade what did you get to?
I got to grade 5.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, if I picked it up now, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
That long ago.
I might feel the same to me. But yeah, no, I think, I don't know why violin, but yeah, she just wanted us to be
musical.
Good at musical, good at something, and that was the one she chose, and then just done it ever since. And
so the violin. So you've obviously got your guitar with you. Is that? Can you play other instruments? Piano, drums?
I play other things, yeah, but not piano very well. Like I just kind of for recording and stuff. Yeah, I would play very basic stuff, but
you fell in love with a guitar.
Yeah, just for songwriting and stuff. Yeah, and my dad plays guitar, so I'd sort of grow up watching him play, and then when it came to, like, you know, after college and stuff, I was really getting into songwriting, and I wanted to kind of understand it better, and the guitar helped with that.
About your brothers?
I was going to say, you didn't think of doing the Jonas Brothers or anything like that.
Good, yeah.
I mean, we've played together before. I remember at school we did a Ray Charles cover. So my younger brother Tom on the drums, my older brother Luke on piano, and I sang. So that was good fun. We would play, but they're not really playing so much these days.
Right.
Not artistic differences.
No, nothing like that. No, they've just gone on to other things. But yeah, I've just always done it. Like I've always just carried on doing it. Yeah.
Inspirations for you?
Oh, I mean, Ray Charles definitely. But
High bar.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think you're the first that said Ray Charles. I've not heard Ray Charles mentioned before.
Like really early influence. Yeah, I'd say Ray Charles. But then we used to listen to a lot of the Chicks, like a lot of country at home, and Keen, Hopes and Fears.
Yes.
Massive fan of that band. Oh my god, I mean that album, just think it's a perfect album, like in terms of songwriting and everything. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, really big fan.
Gosh.
Yeah, so many. It's hard to pick.
Yeah, there's.
I always find it fascinating because we've had bands in as well. But when and we talk about this actually with sports people as well. You know, when you're in a team, it's a little bit different. You've got people to rely on. You've got people to G you up and etc. And I know you'll have a team behind you.
Yeah.
But when you're on your own as a solo sports person, as a singer as well, I mean, how hard is it going out there on your own, essentially?
It can be hard. I think it just depends on whether, for me at least, if I've had a good night's sleep, I've eaten enough, I feel like, I mean, if I've got someone in the audience that I love and know well, I know that they want me to do well, and that really, I think, reflects in the way I play. I actually heard a really good thing the other day, Andy Murray. I genuinely didn't have this in my back pocket when I came in, but someone was asking him about nerves. If you feel nerves, what do you do? And he said he kind of imagines all of the scenarios, all the worst things that might happen, and he kind of plays them over in his mind. And I actually really like that. I think I probably will do that now. But yeah, I don't really get nervous to play these days. I used to get like really nervous, and then at some point it just sort of went away, and I can't really explain why.
No, it's I played in front of football crowds and in my early years, and then you get a little bit blasé. You're not as nervous as the more experienced you get.
You're more used to it, aren't you?
But do you know what the common theme is? Well, me and Natalie have been doing this. We've probably had about 10, 12 artists come in, different artists.
Yeah.
10 or 12. And nobody's old school now. Everybody's like, drink water, and like you say, we're rested, and prepare, eat well. It's not rock and roll anymore. It doesn't feel like that same way, unless I'm completely wrong.
I think there probably are people who are still quite rock and roll. I mean, I have friends who are definitely, but I also have friends who they tour so intensely, and I guess with everything being filmed on a phone nowadays, put on social media, you have that one bad gig, and that can be shared to millions. So I think, and also I think just like sustainability, like people, if you're gigging like 100 times a year or more, I think people now know a little bit more about the effects,
the downside
of maybe not treating yourself so well. But
they're right. You're all right. I'm not. It just amazes me that there is a real different attitude, a professional attitude. That years gone by, you talk to them. I got up and we did this, and we, and you sort of think, really? And they performed. But then I played in the era of football where some footballers didn't do the right thing, played on the Saturday afternoon and still be the best player. It's like, come on. How does that work?
Do you keep an eye on things like Glastonbury?
Yeah. I've been crying every day watching Glastonbury. I love it. But I've never been, funnily enough. But I would love to go. I'd love to play.
Yeah,
that would be
absolutely
a dream, absolute dream.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about the emotional things of Glastonbury, seeing Lewis Capaldi back and performing to thousands of people there, that was a wonderful moment. And he's spoken about his mental health struggles and having to take time out, and that again is coming back to what I was saying about when you're an individual in this industry. That I imagine is pretty tough, but you've got to have the right people around you to help, which he obviously has, because they're the ones that have helped him to get back to performing. That's such a lovely thing to see. Like, that's really uplifting, and should be a kind of like message to everyone. Just like, look after yourself and surround yourself with good people. That's like the first thing, right?
It's difficult for me, getting good people around me.
Goodness sake. Well, you got there third time lucky.
I always come off second best in this.
But you mentioned tennis and Andy Murray, and tennis is the sport that you really are invested in, aren't you? Wimbledon tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You'll be glued, no doubt, to what's going on, and the tennis courts, as we'll see for the next few weeks, will be rammed as everyone tries to be the next Jack Draper, for example. When you look at the tennis scene right now, Alcaraz, Sinner, who are you backing to do well at Wimbledon? Anyone?
I genuinely think Draper is going to be like fired up to win, because he's got Alcaraz, Djokovic.
He's got a tough half of the draw.
He's got like a mad draw, so.
You're going to win it, beat the best.
Do you know, surely he'll look at that and be like, right, let's go. I mean, he probably thinks that every tournament, right? But to know that's who you're up against, he'll be fired up. I think Draper's going to do it.
I mean, he's had such a great 2025 already. Accomplishing so much and getting to be number 4 seed.
At the start of the year, didn't it? Really, he started.
Well, I think in the last few majors, he's achieved his best so far in those respective majors. So, and I mean, I'm also very intrigued by Jacob Fernley, just to see how he's going to get on, because I think his story is absolutely fascinating. When we spoke about him before, having been ranked in the sort of 1000s over a year ago, and is now in the top 100. I mean, what a story that is.
That's the thing with tennis, though, isn't it? You just do not know who was it. I forget her name, but the French Open player she was ranked like 300th or something, and then got to the semi-final. You just never know what's going to happen.
Well, look at Emma Raducanu at the US Open and what she
for
achieved.
sure, yeah.
Coming through the qualifiers, not dropping a set.
Yeah.
What is it about tennis then that you love?
Oh, what is it about tennis? I think, maybe it is like this kind of playing on stage on your own. It's a very mental game. You can feel, unless of course you're playing doubles, but playing singles, you really have to get into a headspace where you can sort of have faith in the outcome. And I don't know, I really relate to that with music as well. And I don't know, like even when you serve, I kind of think about it. It's like an instrument. Like there's so many things I'm thinking about when I'm playing guitar, and like when I'm serving, I'm thinking about my feet. I'm thinking about where my arms are going. Where I'm leaning forward into the serve and things like that. But I can switch off from everything else. When I play, I love it. It's really
do
good.
you think you could perform for 5.5 hours like Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner did in that French Open final?
Or smash a guitar.
Because I was watching the highlights, and I will never not regret not watching that live. I was so gutted I didn't watch it. But and then I found out it was 5.5 hours. It's like, oh my God.
It's incredible.
I play, sometimes I'll play for like 2 hours maybe, and I'm done. I can't think. I'm just thinking about getting through it. And that was amazing.
Well, you're going to play for us now.
I am, yeah.
What's the song we're listening to?
It's called Tribe.
Tribe,
yeah.
Love it. Okay, and this is on Porcelain, the album?
It is, yeah.
Wonderful. All right. You do what you need to do and get yourself ready.
Cool.
Very excited. Right, so this is Danny Addison playing Tribe.
Great stuff.
Super.
Great stuff.
Wow, there's a power in that voice.
Yes.
My goodness. If people want to find you, or are you on tour, anything like that you want to plug?
We've got an album launch in August, 29th of August at St Pancras Old Church. So,
amazing.
And that's called the album?
The album's called Porcelain. Sorry,
Porcelain. Porcelain.
Yeah.
Tribes of the song. Yeah.
Tribes of the song, yeah.
Oh, well, listen, best of luck with it all.
Thank you so much.
It was tremendous. So we really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
We're so
great
lucky.
stuff.
We're so blessed that we get these little gigs in here. We're so lucky.
I find it amazing when I watch people play the instrument and just sort of.
That's so normal.
Yeah.
Natural for them.
My son does. I've said that before. Plays the piano and he's learning the guitar, but there's such a long journey from there to like Natalie had the violin, and then you stop doing it, keeping him wanting to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is a long journey, but I definitely recommend it. And just have faith, I guess. If you think, don't give up, just carry on, keep doing it.
Well, brilliant. It was brilliant this morning. Great stuff.
Danny. As we say, we wish you the best of luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
And you can find out more about our podcast, our Spotify playlist. That's what it is, isn't it?
Spotify
Where
playlist,
there's all of the music that you hear on our show. You can find it on Spotify. Now, don't forget, we want to have your text coming into us. Do you celebrate England's youth successes, or is it only about the senior team that you're more interested in? And we've had mixed views on it. There have been some that have said it's not really registered on them that the under-21s won last night. Equally, a lot of you so happy. And also do let us know what you make of the latest Premier League TV innovations. Are you in favour of players being interviewed after they've been subbed? And what innovations would you like to see that perhaps haven't yet been introduced? Do send us a text even to 81089 or WhatsApp us on 03717223344. Right, on the way. Former Scotland international Jim Hamilton's with us to talk British and Irish Lions. Scott Minto will also be with us to talk about the Minto Derby as Benfica took on Chelsea at the Club World Cup, which was delayed by 2 hours in between the game. So we'll have more on that throughout the show. You're tuning into Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is Tony Cascarino, the former Republic of Ireland striker, and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10. Oasis, they are back this summer, and we've got tickets for their sellout tour. You can be in Manchester on July the 19th as we give away 2 tickets. Not only that, we'll put you up in a hotel. We'll give you $5,000 in your pocket, completely tax-free. This is how you enter.
Alright, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, All you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
Best of luck. Right, let's get into the Club World Cup, shall we? Chelsea 4-1 winners over 10-man Benfica, and it means they're through to the quarter-finals and they'll take on Brazilian side Palmeiras. The match, though, took 4 hours to complete. That's due to a 2-hour weather delay for the threat of stormy conditions in North Carolina. Despite progressing to the next round, the Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has yet again slammed the playing conditions.
I think for me personally it's not football. It's already 7, 8, 9 games that they suspended here. I think it's a joke, to be honest. It's not football. It's not for us. You cannot be inside because you don't know what you have to say. It's completely, for me, it's completely something new, but I struggle to understand. I can understand that for security reason, you have to suspend the game, but if you suspend the 7, 8 games, that means that probably is not the right place to do this competition. I think for 85 minutes, we didn't concede nothing. The team was very good. For me, one of the best performance in the last week's month. The problem is that then the game suspended, and it's a joke. It's not football, guys. It's not football. You could suspend the game 2 hours. It's not football. It's completely something different.
Really interesting to hear what Enzo Maresca then had to say. Joining us to discuss this game, someone who probably was divided on what should have happened, it is talkSPORT's very own Scott Minto. How are you, Scott?
Scott.
Morning, Nat. Morning, Kaz. Yeah, good point made. Look, is there a game where you can want both teams to win? I don't know.
Yeah, I heard you on, was it Friday? You were saying all the teams you play for, Scott? You support for. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kaz, everybody's different, aren't they? But I think to put on the shirt for a club and represent the supporters in that, whether there's been good times or bad times, ups or downs, I was very proud to have played for all the clubs I played for. Chelsea gave me the biggest day of my career, winning the FA Cup, but Benfica, I think, was almost the biggest achievement, not just playing Champions League, but also going to a country, trying to learn a language, a new culture. And I was the first Englishman to play for Benfica, and I'm very proud to have that tag.
Oh.
Right, how tired are you?
Knackered.
3:02 you messaged me. We're not feeling sorry for you. Me and Natalie were getting up half hour later.
You're just joining our world.
Well, that's why I texted you. Do you think I'd text anyone at 3 o'clock in the morning just for the sake of it? I mean, I thought you might be in a casino somewhere, Kaz.
No, not yesterday, but I laughed because I didn't see it till this morning. I didn't see your message coming, and I couldn't find the time. And then Natalie said, "But it's 3:02," and I went, "I'm not feeling sorry for him." But it was a shambles, though, wasn't it?
You're not in any game. You might anticipate extra time, penalties, etc. A 2-hour delay in the middle of a game, I think it's just ridiculous, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm no meteorologist. I can't comment on the sort of protocol that's made, but the protocol is, thunderstorms, they're commonplace in the area. I thought listening to Enzo Maresca, he looked livid, didn't he? He wanted to say a lot more than what he did. I thought he spoke really well, actually, and very clearly. Saying, I'm a football manager here. I don't want to say too much, apart from the fact if this is happening on a regular basis, then why are we here in the first place? I do think, I don't know, Nat, Kaz, I don't know, but I mean, the rules are, it's reset for a further 30 minutes every time another lightning strike occurs in an 8-mile radius. And the pictures that we were getting, the sun was coming out, let alone there was no rain or storm or anything. So I think, one, they've got to look at that. 2, if that's not going to move, then they need to look at whether they should be playing where they're playing, because this should not happen in an under-10s tournament, let alone in a Club World Cup run by FIFA.
And then a World Cup to come next year as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a massive issue. Look, the only thing I can say is, and I always sort of think to myself, when anything go wrong, how can I turn a negative into a positive? Well, there's some negatives here, and they need to learn some lessons, because this cannot happen in the World Cup. And I'm pretty sure the broadcasters all around the world, but especially in Europe, with the time change, time zones, they'll be saying, we're not having this. So, you better pick your locations very, very, very carefully indeed.
Scott, let's talk about the performance. Chelsea, what did you make of it? Ended up comfortably, but 3 late goals.
Yeah, look, I think 4-1 flattered Chelsea in the end, but Chelsea were the better side. I mean, he's absolutely right, Maresca, saying for the first 85 minutes, they were really good. I remember Benfica only had 1 shot on target in that time. And we just kind of knew something would happen. And the penalty, as contentious as it was, probably to the letter of the law, it's the right decision, but it's not an understanding of how people can jump. So I do feel sorry for Malagusta, really, because he's going through a bit of a bad time at the moment. But I thought they were good. I thought it was really interesting, the team selection. Played Lavia, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez as well, something we've not seen before, with Cole Palmer on top of that as well. So he dropped Noni Madueke. He's a player I really like. I'd always want him to be playing on one side, Pedro Neto on the other. But look, they were in control of the game, but finding it very difficult to break down Benfica. And then Reece James popped up with a absolutely fantastic goal, very cheeky indeed.
You mentioned Madueke. I mean, he's one of those players that's been linked with a move away from Chelsea this summer. For you, would that be the wrong decision by the Chelsea board to sanction that?
Definitely. I mean, I've seen that and I don't get it. Not only do I think he's a very good footballer coming in, being that inverted winger on the right, but I've also seen him play on the left. I covered the game for talkSPORT at the Bridge against Manchester United, where I thought I think it was Mazouari, the right back. He gave him a torrid time playing as an old-fashioned left winger on the left-hand side. So he's very, very versatile. I know Jamie Gittins looks like it's happening now, and I do understand that, because Jadon Sancho's gone back to United. Mudryk, we don't know when he's going to play again. But to get rid of Madueke when he looks like he could be one of Chelsea's best players, I find that very strange indeed.
Just a quick word, Scott. Palmeiras in the next round. Have you seen them, and are you optimistic for Chelsea?
Yeah, I heard you saying earlier, Kaz, I think you're absolutely right. They're really a well-organised side, very difficult to break down. They've only, conceded in 1 game in this tournament. They're a very fit side. And of course, they've got Esteval, who will be signing, or has signed already, will be playing for Chelsea in this coming season. So he's been really good already. Interested to see how they do. This will not be easy. And I'm pretty sure that Giovanni Infantino will be wanting Palmeiras to win, because he will not want 4 European sides in the semi-final, and it will look like a Champions League competition. But I'll definitely be wanting Chelsea to win. It won't be easy. I think it would be quite something similar to Benfica.
Who's the player that you've signed, Chelsea? Who did you say?
Esteval.
Okay. You wonder the dynamics of that. It could be denying Chelsea a lot of money if he scores the winner.
Well, I don't know what the rules are in terms of, are you allowed to play against your parent club, the technicality of it, whether he's still technically, a Palmeiras player or a Chelsea player. But yes, it will be interesting.
Yeah, contracts ending. Well, it might be slightly different, but the contracts ending by the end of June, don't they?
Normally, yeah.
Normally, but this competition obviously makes it different.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what happens there.
We're in an upside down world, aren't we, at the moment? We've got tournaments in the summer that are all being affected by the weather, like the shambles that we see in America. It feels like an upside down world.
You've said that.
Don't get me going, Kaz. Let's meet for a brunch, and we'll not just talk football, we'll talk everything else as well.
Yes, I know. Scott.
Right the wrongs of the world when you meet up.
That's what you do when you get older. We all do it.
You grumpy old men. That's what you're basically saying. Scott, thank you. Get back to bed.
Will do.
We're not old. We are grumpy, but we're not.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Funny enough, you mentioned Upside Down. Very apt. Stranger Things back this year. That's all about the Upside Down world, isn't it? Okay, Scott. As you mentioned, he was playing for Benfica, as he told us, moving to Portugal, an Englishman then that went abroad. In the next hour, we'll talk about how others have taken that pathway and how beneficial it can be, as it was for Scott in the final hour of the show. We'll also look ahead to Wimbledon with British tennis player Liam Brodie. But up next, we'll discuss the British and Irish Lions after their big win against Western Force with former Scotland international Jim Hamilton. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is former Red Star striker Tony Cascarino. No. Former.
Any of them.
Aston Villa. We haven't said Aston Villa today.
Great.
Striker Tony Cascarino. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk Wimbledon with British tennis player Liam Brodie. We'll discuss England's tremendous success at the under-21s Euros last night. And we'll discuss English players going abroad. But right now, let's start this hour with an update on the rugby in partnership with Tenor Men.
Qatar Airways Lions Tour Roundup on talkSPORT with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. Don't let drips and dribbles get in the way of the life you lead or the sport you love. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
Yeah, the British and Irish Lions put the disappointment of that Argentina defeat behind them as they thrashed Western Force 54-7 in their first game of the tour on Aussie soil.
First tour game on Australian soil. It's the British and Irish Lions playing the Western Force in Perth.
Pollock's got it back and he's barreling his way forward. Up and over the 22. Keeps going. 5 metres out. Can he get the offload away? Yes, he can. Thomas Williams will score for the Lions.
A brilliant indication of just how good a talent Henry Pollock is.
How can we not talk about this guy when he does things like that? Daly and Tui Pilotto out to Mac Hansen. Returns it back in field. And Gary Ringrose will score for the Lions. Now there's a pile-up because there's a lot of bodies in a very small area and there's a bit of push and shove. Hansen is now making his way to the 22 and gives to Alex Mitchell, and the Lions scrum half will round things off. And that is that. Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 54.
Yeah, it was the kind of performance they needed then after that defeat to the Pumas, like we mentioned in Dublin last week, putting 8 tries past the Western Force team. One of the standout performances was second row Joe McCarthy, who scored a try in this one as well. And after the game, he caught up with talkSPORT's Alfie Reynolds.
I think it was a step up. It felt like a step in the right direction for this group. Playing to work on it was tough. I think it's probably a taste of what's to come. Aussies like to play really fast, really good athletes, and keep the ball alive. So no, it was good for us, but there's plenty to review. Fantastic from the Lions then to get that victory in Australia. Go on, what's your point?
Have you seen his haircut?
The mullet.
It's brilliant.
He'll be fitting in Australia, won't he? Because they like a mullet over there.
Oh, it's hilarious, the mullet.
Let's bring in a rugby perspective on all this, of course. Former Scotland international Jim Hamilton joins us. How are you, Jim? Good morning.
Jim. Good morning. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You've not been convinced to have the old mullet then?
Well, my 14-year-old lad's just got one as well. I'd love to be able to pull it off. Yeah, at the age of 42, the wife might not be too happy. I could pull it off though.
Fair enough. Right, tell us then, what did you make of that result yesterday?
Yeah, it was good, much needed. I mean, the game against Argentina the week before in Dublin, which was a significantly harder test, was underwhelming from a British and Irish Lions perspective. And I think there was a few worries as they went over to Australia. But yeah, as I say, a comfortable victory, 8 tries. And I'll start not with the negative, but with the facts like the Western Force are probably the easiest game they're going to have on tour. It's good that they had that first up. And look, all the hysteria in the build-up to these tours, right? The lads just want to get out there, put the jersey on and get that first game out of the way with, and that's exactly what they did. So the first half was tough. It was niggly at points, but yeah, a load of positives to take from a British and Irish Lions perspective.
Well, Jim, it looked for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes that it could be a bit tougher because obviously they'd scored as well, and obviously the British and Irish Lions did, and it felt like it was going to be a much closer game. But as the game wore on, the Lions just literally breezed it.
Yeah, and Nick White, their scrum half, kind of said after the scoreline didn't really reflect the game, and I understand where he comes from with that because of the first half was very competitive. And
yeah.
Look, I think the point to make in this is that in the second half, the Western Force bring on their second string players, the British and Irish Lions bring on world-class internationals. So, from that kind of point of view, I can see where he's coming from. But look, first half, it kind of showed what the Lions are going to be in store for them when they face tougher teams and when they go into the test matches. really physical Australian players now, really good around the breakdown, and that they can score tries, and they've got some great athletes. So, yeah, there was a load of stuff to take from that, and I enjoyed the game, actually. I think a few other people did, and it was good to see it up and running.
And this was the first time that Andy Farrell pretty much had everyone available, with those who had been involved in the domestic finals, and Bath and Leinster, for example, sitting that Argentina defeat out. But who impressed you in this particular team?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned in there the man with the mullet, Joe McCarthy, the young Irish second row. I thought was brilliant, and that position's up for grabs as well. You've got Maro Itoje, who's captain, and they rested him in that game. He's played the most minutes of any player on tour as well, so we needed a rest. But Joe McCarthy, I think, for me, was standout, and you've mentioned it. Matt Hansen on the wing as well. Kind of divides opinion with his Australian heritage and the fact that a lot of people in Scotland feel that Darcy Graham should have went ahead of him. But I think Matt Hansen's a world-class player. And Andy Farrell referenced him after the game, the work off the ball and all of these things that you're looking for in a British and Irish Lions jersey as well. I thought Elliot Daly at 15 was really good, and there's a kind of question mark in that position as well, because Hugo Keenan, the Irish fullback, has been injured. Blair Kinghorn, who played in the top 14 final last night, actually played on the wing, hasn't played much rugby. So I think in Elliot Daly, again, there's question marks over him going on the tour as well from rugby fans, but I think he kind of showed the classiness that he's got as well. I thought Finn Russell as well looked really good at 10, a world-class player, as we know, but I think the way that he managed the game, we saw some classy touches as well. So I think all in all, it was very good, and everyone's talking about Henry Pollock as well, the 20-year-old who is making headlines. Jim. Oh, unbelievable! 20 years old, and he's doing what he's doing. So fair play to him.
Sport does make me laugh sometimes, Jim. I've got to say, the Aussie announcer, some of his play. Well, honestly, he's announcing the team, and he says, "Our former Aussie Matt Hansen," and then he said later he announced, "It's the Kiwi, now Irishman James Lowe." And he did it about 4 or 5 players where he literally went through, and just hilarious.
Do you know, though, that is something that was really interesting, because I was reading a piece building up to this tour that Sam Warburton, the obviously former Lion, Wales captain and everything as well, he was saying that slightly concerned that a number of the players involved in this Lions squad maybe weren't going to have been brought up being Lions fans like he was. He said, I grew up wearing a Lions shirt. He questioned whether some of these players actually would have had the similar upbringing, and do they really get and understand what it is to be a Lion? Do you understand where he's coming from?
Yeah, I do, to a degree, of course. And the game and sport has moved on so much, hasn't it, over the last few years, with especially in rugby with residency, and we're seeing some of the best players from around the world are generally, from the Southern Hemisphere, have a South African influence or a New Zealand or Australia influence, and they come over and they apply their trade in the Northern Hemisphere if they haven't made it down south. And it is hard for these players because they feel like they're having to justify themselves. The likes of James Lowe as well on the left wing, and Jameson Gibson Park at scrum half. These are some of the best players in the world. But look, you've got at the helm, you've got Andy Farrell, who is, if not one of the most ultimate rugby men to have ever walked the planet across both codes. So he's only going to pick players that he believes in, that will do and play in the shirt and justify their selection. But from my point of view, the red shirt from '97, the likes of Martin Johnson and the late great Doddy Weir, them iconic kind of visions that you have of being a British and Irish Lion run deeper than just this kind of 4-year cycle that they work on. It's steeped in deep history, but it's not for me to say. I wasn't a Lion. My uncle Hamish, who's actually called Sam, said I should have been back in 2013. And for me, it's the most iconic jersey there is to have. And it's not for me to question anyone else who gets to wear that jersey. And I think the players that you've kind of mentioned then, like Sieno Tuipulotu, you saw the passion when he got selected for the squad. He was in tears, and you saw just how well Matt Hansen played yesterday. So they know the expectation that is needed, and the sacrifice needed to play in that jersey.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, absolutely. And just quickly, Jim, from what you then saw from yesterday, looking ahead to the Test series, what do you think will happen?
Well, I think there's a lot to work on. The kickoffs are really poor. I think you look at the breakdown. Ben O'Keefe, who refereed the game, is going to be refereeing the first Test as well. So that maybe kind of causes not selection headaches, but maybe the makeup of how the team might look. We have this thing in rugby, we call them the jackals, someone who goes quite hard at the breakdown over ball. Henry Pollock got sin bin yesterday for going too hard at the ball. Does that make Andy Farrell want to set up his team differently if a referee like Ben O'Keefe doesn't give the opportunity for players in that position. But all in all, it was a good game. It was good to see the Lions' first game in Australia, and tougher tests await for them. Literally, the test matches are going to be really tough for them, but the tougher provinces and stuff await for them. And it's going to be quality. I think we're all looking forward to actually getting it going now with all the big build-up that's been.
Superb, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's the former Scotland international Jim Hamilton then, and that was all thanks to Tenor Men.
Qatar Airways Lions Tour Roundup on talkSPORT with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. Don't let drips and dribbles get in the way of the life you lead or the sport you love. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
So, we've been talking young lions, lionesses, the British and Irish Lions. talkSPORT, very much the pride of live sport. I like that sound. Well done. I like that. Coming up, we're going to look ahead to Wimbledon with Liam Brodie, and we'll be talking to the former Brentford manager, Martin Allen, about Keith Andrews' appointment as the Brentford boss. That's next. You're tuning into the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. We're live on your radio, on YouTube and your smart TV as well. It is the former Millwall striker, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until the Sunday edition.
Lions again?
What?
Lions again?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that link. And Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Or Chelsea?
Oh my God. This is weird.
Lions everywhere.
Marseille and Nancy? Were they?
No, there's no.
Oh,
no,
well, you
no
ruined
lions
it when
there.
you went to France, didn't you? We don't talk about Celtic. And we didn't mention Gillingham, but we'll move on.
There's a horse, Gillingham, isn't it?
What?
Isn't they wear the Kent horse? I can't remember. It's such a long time.
I haven't a clue what you're talking about.
The badge I'm talking about. The badge.
Sorry. It's late on in the show. I was like, what? Okay, we're going to move on to one of the biggest managerial surprises of the summer, which has come out of Brentford. The former Ireland international and Brentford set-piece coach, Keith Andrews, has now been confirmed as Thomas Frank's replacement, becoming the new Brentford head coach. Former Wolves midfielder Andrews joined the Bees last summer to work under Frank, as I've mentioned, as the set-piece coach, but now steps up into his first senior role. Highly rated behind the scenes, if you listen to what the director of football, Phil Giles, has had to say. But it's certainly been an appointment that's raised eyebrows from some of the biggest names in the sport. One of them is former Republic of Ireland boss Martin O'Neill, who joined White and Jordan earlier in the week and made this point about the realities of stepping into the hot seat.
Keith would be an interesting one, really, because he hasn't managed before. I hope he gets the job, really, because as a pundit a few years ago, he was a particularly vitriolic critic of mine for the Republic of Ireland team. He derided the use of set pieces. That we were using to try and win some football games. And the irony of ironies is it becomes the set piece coach at Brentford. So I hope he gets the job to realise that management is a wee bit more difficult when you're on the field of play than it is actually sitting in the pundits room. But anyway, listen. As you mentioned, if he has been able to get them off to fast starts, that is terrific, and that's in his favour. And but management is a wee bit more difficult than Keith thinks it is.
Is that the most polite 2-foot challenge you've ever seen?
I feel like it was quite diplomatic. The after hours version would be a lot more heated, I'm sure. So what should Brentford fans expect then under Keith Andrews? Let's bring in someone who knows the club, the job, and Andrews too. It's former Bees manager Martin Allen. How are you?
Martin.
Good morning, Nat. Morning, Tony.
Did you like what Martin O'Seal did? It's funny in football sometimes things can come back to haunt you, Martin, isn't there?
It did make me smile. I had a former teammate, although you could probably cancel out the mate part. Who when I was managing, he was very critical, sort of non-stop tactical, everything. Always negative, never spoke to me and always put me down. And he went out of the game and I just thought, what an absolute golden nugget. Like Martin said, people do not realise, especially some of the pundits, some of these experts that I see on TV, criticising managers and performances, and they've never even done it. They don't know what it's actually like to be at the sharp end.
Yeah. I was going to add to that. Just one thing, Martin. There's a little bit more of a backstory to that as well. Because when Stephen Kenny got the job of Ireland, he criticised the style of play by Ireland. Obviously, so previous managers like Trapattoni, Martin O'Neill, I think even to not so much Mick McCarthy, but he said a few things that, Dundalk played a certain way and it meant playing football out from the back and everyone wants possession. Well, that's okay, but, Dundalk to Republic of Ireland national team, that's where Keith got in a little bit of trouble and was slightly critical of Martin O'Neill's team.
Yeah, well, as a job as a pundit, Tony, as we both know, because I've done that job also, you do have to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be what people like. And the fact that he hadn't been a manager at that point, when you're sat there before you do that job, then you're paid to come in and give an opinion. He can't just sit on the fence. And I remember watching Stephen Kenny's team. They were huge amounts of passes, non-stop passing, but with very little penetration, no points. And what's the point of that? What's the good of that? So it will be interesting to see how Keith Andrews manages the style of play at Brentford, and whether there's going to be changes to the way that Thomas Frank has been so successful, and how he's going to make his own footprint on the club going forward.
Well, he's going to have to learn pretty quickly because little room for error in the Premier League, Martin. Let's talk about how you know him, because you brought him to MK Dons when you were the manager and named him captain as well. So what were the qualities you saw in him that you thought he could be a leader?
He's opinionated. He's a deep thinker. He's sharp. He's challenging. He's testing. He pushes the boundaries. I'd had a phone call when I was manager at MK Dons that there's a midfield player up at Hull City. Need to go and watch him. I didn't actually go myself. My assistant, Adrian Whitbread, went up to Hull. I think it was a Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. kickoff. And by half-time, he'd called me and said, "Gaffer, we need to sign this player." So we signed him that evening on a free transfer. And he came in and he was superb for us at MK Dons. But then I must say, I think he went up another level when Paul Ince took my job at MK Dons, and Keith was the catalyst, really, of the success of MK Dons, taking them forward. And I tried to take him to Leicester City, but the owner hadn't even heard of him at Leicester. So that was a big blow.
A good two-footed challenge in there, Mark. Martin, tell us about the issues of a club like where Brentford are. They've lost their manager, and there's certain individuals, whether it's Norgod, whether it's Mbomo, and others could leave. Of the challenges for Keith now is that you've got to do a sort of say mini rebuild, but there is the challenge of losing influential players that you've had.
Yeah, he's going into a very difficult job, and the biggest influence he's got on that pitch is the manager and what the manager had over the whole club, including the supporters. Thomas Frank done an excellent job of, I think the word's galvanising the supporters and the players and building up a real good team spirit on and off the pitch, and unity between the supporters and the players. And the players have really appreciated the supporters, and it worked both ways. Keith's got a real difficult one there. Yeah. And also, Mbomo, the amount of goals that he's scored, it's not easy to find that amount of goals. And he's going to, any manager, young, old, experienced, anti-Irish, whatever, is going to find that difficult to replace that amount of goals in Brentford's team.
One of the other big question marks over the appointment has been the fact that his role was the set-piece coach. And I know we talked about it yesterday about, a set-piece coach, yes, he'll be planning what he wants to do in certain scenarios, of course. But from your knowledge of a set-piece coach, is there more to it than that? Is there more coaching in all aspects that he has to do as well?
I think he's probably done more coaching. I think he's probably clearly he's been recognised by the... Phil Giles, who you mentioned earlier, that kind of is the director of football at Brentford. They've seen him work, they've listened to him, they've heard him. He was assistant manager to Trapattoni, I think, for the Irish team.
Yeah, he was.
Is that right, Tony?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So he's clearly done a lot of coaching for the Irish team. He went into Sheffield United, but then he retrained himself. You don't just be a set play analyst or a set play expert. And also all the analysis work. He went on courses and he studied because he didn't really think he was going to get any first team jobs as manager. So he's gone down the education. He works damned hard. And what I will say about him, when I was manager at Barnet Football Club and I didn't have any scouts, there was a game on a Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. kickoff. Dagenham and Redbridge were playing at home. Dagenham and Redbridge had a good winger. So I drove on a Sunday to watch Dagenham play. I probably thought I was going to be the only person there. And as I sneaked into the top of the stand, 2 seats away from me was Keith Andrews. I shook his hand, of course. I said, "What the hell are you doing here on a Sunday afternoon?" And he said, "They've got a right winger, and I've come to see him play because my scouts at MK Dons are desperate to buy him."
I'm trying to remember his name, Martin, because he ended up at Coventry, I think.
Jones.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
I said, "Well, why are you here?" What? He said, "Well, I wanted to check him out. I needed to see him before we buy him."
Wow, how interesting.
And I thought to yourself, fair effort. and I'm not being funny, I think you both probably know, I used to drive round to every football game that was ever available. I used to go and watch them. And Keith had driven down from, up near Northampton where he was living when I think he was working at MK Dons. And I think that shows the kind of the
commitment,
the spirit and the standard, the commitment and the desire and the drive. And some of these people that say they never get an opportunity, I've waited all this time. He's worked for it in education and in hard miles to get this opportunity. And I really, really do hope he does well.
Yeah.
You've inspired me.
Yeah. You've lifted Natalie
Keith
now,
Andrews,
Martin.
Red and White Army. Come on.
Hold on. Nat, you said you've inspired me.
And it doesn't happen very often, does
with
it?
Zero enthusiasm.
Because I just wasn't expecting it from you, Martin. That's why.
Zero.
Listen.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy.
We've been up since around 3, so give us a break. Martin, we love having you on. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, Martin. Thank you. Great stuff.
Lovely to speak to you, Cass. See you soon, Nat.
I can't wait to see you, Mark. Let's see you soon.
Yeah, take care. Whatever. That was the former Brenford manager, Martin Allen, joining us to talk about Keith Andrews, who was his former captain at MK Dons. Okay, up next, we are going to be talking about the experience of players going abroad. We're seeing it more and more with young English players, and perhaps that's part of the reason we saw the success at the Under-21 European Championships last night as the Young Lions retained their trophy. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much, even for tuning in this Sunday morning. It is the former Gillingham striker, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. And here are some of your headlines today. Chelsea put a 2-hour weather delay behind them to defeat Benfica 4-1 in the last 16 of the Club World Cup in North Carolina last night. Fair to say Enzo Maresca not happy by such a pause in the game. Lando Norris put in a sensational performance to take pole position for today's Austrian Grand Prix by more than half a second on one of the shortest laps of the year. And after seeing his side retain their Euros title against Germany in dramatic fashion last night in Bratislava, the England under-21 coach Lee Carsley says he hopes his squad's tournament-winning experience will stand them in good stead for a big future for their senior teams.
I think with the DNA, the DNA is a brilliant document, but you have to live it. You know, you have to believe in it. You have to make sure that we're putting the right players in the right camps from under 15s right the way through to the senior team, and it's a great document that we often refer to, and it's shown that we are capable of winning at this level in terms of 17s, 19s, and 21s, and what we can't forget is that we're here to support the senior team. That's our main goal, is to push players through to the seniors and hopefully win a World Cup or European Championships.
So that was Lee Carsley then speaking after that victory for England over Germany in what was an exciting final, it has to be said. Thomas Tuchel was present, as was the FA Chief of Football Operations, Dan Ashworth. And a lot of the conversations, as you can imagine, Cass, off the back of this then leads to, well, what happens for the senior team? Can these players make the transition and bring that success that they have now achieved? For some of them, only a few of them, but back-to-back successes, can they translate that into the senior team as well? And the conversation as well around this stems from the fact that Jonathan Rowe was the match winner, came on in the 91st minute, which went into extra time, we should say, and then scored a minute later. He plies his trade out in France, and there are a number of players in that current under-21 squad that play abroad. Not only that, you can look across the board that currently there are plenty of players who are playing, as I say, in Europe elsewhere. You've got now the two Bellinghams, for example. Jude, as we know, is at Real Madrid, but his younger brother Job left Sunderland to opt to play now for Borussia Dortmund, where Jude Bellingham really made his mark on the European international stage. As I mentioned, Rowe is playing at Marseille. You had Charlie Cresswell playing for Toulouse in part of that squad from yesterday as well. And you know what it's like to play in Europe. You've done it, albeit that at a latter age and a latter part of your career. But how much do you think playing abroad can be, or how, in terms of the character that you can build by moving abroad, how important is that? And do you think it's important for players to have that kind of character behind them?
Well, it was very beneficial to me. Obviously, I went in, as you said, later stage of my career. I was about 31 when I joined Marseille, and it was a new world to me. And I think it'd be pretty scary for a young lad, 17, 18, and that's why I've got a lot of admiration for for Jude Bellingham going an early age. Angel Gomez went at an early age, but he obviously went to Lille originally, and others, Jadon Sancho. It's a challenge because it's not your natural language, and then there's also when you get in the dressing room there. Every dressing room's all around the world. They have their own little groups and cliques, and normally it can be a good thing, and they'll welcome you in and bring you on. I felt like when I got to Marseille, I felt like I'd left school, and that sounds really weird. But because I felt like I matured a lot in the first year I was there, because I felt very isolated. Look, there were lads in the dressing room who spoke English, and there's always, when you go to a club, there's many. Let's say many, but there's always players who speak English, so they're always welcoming. But when you've done your training, you go back to your homes, and I was in a hotel. Being in a hotel was a challenge for about 3 months, and then you get a property or you rent one, but you're still you're learning a hell of a lot with only the culture, but about living in another country, the relationship with the players. You don't bond immediately. They bring you in and they welcome you and they're polite. But really remember anybody saying, "Oh, come and do this." That happened. It took me about a year before that happened at Marseille, where players would say, "Golf? Do you want to come and play golf at the local golf club if we had a day off?"
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Yeah, I'd play and come along." But even things like, so it is a challenge going to a club where you feel. I mean, you said the story obviously about Jonathan Rowe earlier about his mum and his sister. There's things he's dealing with, even though he's in another country. I don't know. He may have brought them over. He might have brought them with him, because some do, some don't. Some families stay at home. Not everyone goes with them. So there are different challenges. But I felt like it was a real growing up. I felt much more mature by the time I'd sort of done 2 or 3 years in France, and was a lot more worldly as well.
Yeah.
It helps.
Just to reiterate that story on Jonathan Rowe, if you hadn't heard it earlier on, when he joined the Norwich Academy around the age of 11, he was having to commute from London 3 hours a day or whenever needed, having to also look after his mother, who was suffering with an illness, and look after his younger sister at the same time. So challenges at a young age, he was able to...
Even in this country, yeah.
Yeah, he was able to overcome that. And interestingly, we mentioned it as well earlier on, that he was one of the, for many, a surprise inclusion in this under-21 squad, because he hasn't done as well perhaps as he would have liked at Marseille this season, hasn't played as much.
No.
But Lee Carsley had said, look, we're always monitoring our players, and regardless of game time, we're always keeping in touch, and what they really liked about him and how he felt that, one, he deserved to be in the squad just because of who he was, but they liked his impact and enthusiasm that he brought to the squad. And that's as big a part to play as anything sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it'd be a big plus for him that Angel Gomez has gone to Marseille as well. Another player that he can relate to. And look, he was substitute a hell of a lot for Marseille last season. They had a season where they made Champions League football, so there'll be a lot more games next year, and hopefully he'll have a great pre-season. I know he's only just finished with England now, but hopefully De Zerbi has got him in his thoughts, because you as a young lad, you do spend time on the bench, and you're not an automatic starter. You have to fight your way in, and when there's an opportunity, you have to take it, because especially him being at a big club. Marseille's a very big club in Europe. It hasn't had the success in recent years because of, obviously, the troubles that they had many moons ago. But they're still a very big club. Attract 60,000 people. Watch them. It's an intimidating place to play, Marseille. It'll be a big challenge on himself, knowing expectation at Marseille is always huge. Even if they haven't achieved it, it's still there, huge.
So if you were giving advice to players and they were given the opportunity of, you can stick at your club right now, but you might play the under-21 Premier League, or you might get bit parts in a season, maybe in the cup competitions, or you have the chance to move abroad, where I'm not saying it's a guarantee you're going to be playing every game, but you think if you're moving abroad, they're more likely, they've tracked you, they've seen something in you, and they want you to be a part of their team. From all the benefits that you've mentioned about the maturity and how you've learned a different lifestyle, different culture, would you be encouraging more players to go abroad?
I think it's all about playing football, Nat. And even if you get in your early 20s, if you get the feel that at the club you're at, you're not going to play much and you're just going to be a bit part player for the whole of that season, does that sit well with you?
Yeah.
Do you want to go out on loan and maybe have a much bigger opportunity of playing? I would go for, I'll go abroad. I'll go and play. I want to play football. When you talk about young lads and you remember what you like at 10, 11, 12, and you have the opportunity, there's nothing better than playing football. No one like being sub. I don't, even in a kids team, being a sub is, coming on a bit. You get a little bit disillusioned. So when you're a player and you've made it pro, you want to be playing. Or I'd certainly wanted to be playing. That's all I thought about if I'm playing. And any place I wasn't, I felt, and especially at a certain age, I'd go, I want to play football elsewhere. I did that at Marseille. I left to go to Nancy. I was in the squad, but I wanted to be a regular first team. And Nancy said, we'll take you and we're going to play you. And that was it. And a decision was made. I didn't think, to me, it's all about playing football. That's the best thing, and that's the biggest buzz I ever got.
Yeah, okay. We'll no doubt throughout the rest of the day have plenty more on that under-21 victory. In fact, Henry Winter has been out in Slovakia, hasn't he? covering it.
Yes.
And I'm sure he'll have a lot to say alongside Sean Custis when they take over from 10 for the Sunday edition. But before that, here on the Weekend Sports Breakfast, we're going to look ahead to the Wimbledon Championships, which start tomorrow. 23 British players are set to take part in the singles draw. Can any of them go all the way? We're going to get the take of Liam Brodie next. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Weekend Sports Breakfast with the former Marseille and Nancy striker Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer. You know that this summer is going to be all about Oasis, that is if you're an Oasis fan. It's sold out, the reunion gigs, but we do have a pair of Oasis tickets for their Manchester gig on July the 19th. And if you want to go and you need to enter, this is what you've got to do. But not only are you going to get 2 tickets, you're going to get a hotel night stay and $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. This is how you enter.
You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
And we wish you the best of luck. Now, in tennis, the third Grand Slam of the year starts tomorrow, Wimbledon. And once again, all eyes will be on Carlos Alcaraz, who warmed up in style by beating Yuri Lehechka at Queen's and is now chasing a third straight Wimbledon crown. Let's not forget, he also recently won the French Open in what was a bit of a humdinger of a final against Yannick Sinner. The Australian tennis player Nick Kyrgios joined White and Jordan in the studio this week to run through his life and career, having been called a cheat and a brat by Simon in the past. Kyrgios gave an interesting response.
Well, he's bang on, because sometimes, I look at, Novak, Nadal or Federer, like, how was I supposed to beat these guys in a fair and square, clean battle? It was never going to happen, so I had to figure out other ways, I've knocked over...
Although you did beat them.
I know, but I've knocked over Nadal's, water bottles. You know how he puts it, like, I knocked it over before. I've was talking to myself every change of end against Federer, trying to get these guys maybe thinking something different, because if I tried to go out there and be well behaved, I was never going to beat them. So I do try and bring them back to, I guess, my level, the human level, because these guys are gods.
So it was like sledging in tennis.
Well, it's not sledging, but it's just trying to do something different that they haven't experienced before. And maybe I needed a little bit more of that in the final of Wimbledon, but I tried to be too well behaved and I didn't win.
Interesting. The mind games then that Kyrgios was trying to employ to upset some of the greats then. Wimbledon then just around the corner. I'm delighted to say joining us to give us his take on perhaps who to look out for. It's British tennis star Liam Brodie. Liam, how are you? Good morning.
Hi, Liam.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, good.
Very, very well. Nick Kyrgios there saying, he had to find some sort of an edge to beat these players, and you can kind of understand where he's coming from, even though, as we heard there, often he was referred to as a brat for some of the outlandish behaviour we saw.
Yeah, it's a tough one with Nick, because I think there's a lot of people who would say if he'd behaved better, maybe he would have had a better career, but he never really had his own coach, so he was completely self-coached, and he was definitely a maverick, and he has one of the best records against those guys. So maybe there is something to what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, look, when you look at tennis and you go, if you're in the top 5, top 10 in tennis in the world, that's an extraordinary high level.
Yeah.
And these guys are, so super fit now. I look at tennis players and the fitness of what we've seen from the Federer to the Djokovic to Andy Murray, Nadal. We've seen the fitness come to tennis, and it's got on, both sides of the sport, with women's game as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the sport sort of, even 15 years ago, that there were guys that were still sort of smoking 20 cigarettes a day and going out 3 times a week. And even when I first started on tour, there were some guys that were still going out several times a week, and there were a lot of characters, shall we say, whereas now that's not a thing anymore. Sports science came to tennis, and we've got these absolute monsters now, like Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, Jack Draper. They're just all, 6 foot plus, built like string beans, but absolutely stacked, very powerful, explosive, and we're seeing 5-hour matches, no problem now.
Yeah, it does amaze me, the athleticism that is involved as a tennis player, but you know all about that, Liam, certainly. That French Open final was just incredible. The high level tennis that we saw from from the start until the end, unbelievable. Carlos Alcaraz winning that one to make it back-to-back victories at Roland Garros. He's looking to make it 3 times winning in a row at Wimbledon. Is he the man to stop?
I think at Wimbledon definitely Carlos is the man to stop. I think Yannick on the hard courts looks like he's going to be the man to beat, at US Open and Aussie Open for the foreseeable. I was surprised how close he got and how well he was playing on the clay at Roland Garros, but I think Wimbledon, Yannick maybe doesn't move quite as well on the grass and the ball stays a bit lower, so it's harder for those taller, bigger hitters to play on the courts. And Carlos has so much variety to his game. He's a little bit Federer-esque at times. He's a shot maker, and I think the grass suits him really well.
I was going to ask you, because obviously Djokovic is about 2 years away from his last Grand Slam win. Grass is his best chance. He's on the final lap of the track, where how many more big majors has he got to play in? Is this the one, do you think, that gives him the best opportunity?
It's a tough one, because those last 2 years I've always been saying you can't bet against the GOAT, and he's not won one yet. I think
stop backing him then.
I know, but this is the thing, right? Someone like Novak Djokovic, he has won the most slams in the history of men's tennis, so I'll never bet against him. If he finds himself in a semi-final or a final, he's going to be out there and he's going to be difficult to beat. I think maybe this year, for the first time, maybe at the French Open, his movement didn't quite look perhaps as it's been in the past, and that was obviously one of his greatest weapons. So I think he'll start to find it pretty difficult. But as you say, Wimbledon's probably his best chance now, and I think he'll be aware of that.
Yeah, looking to win that 25th major to make sure that he is the outright winners of all Grand Slams in both the men's and women's game. Just quickly, Liam, from a British perspective, who should we be looking out for, do you think?
I think, there's almost a record of Brits in the draw this year, isn't there? I think Oliver Tarvett is one. He left he's still at university in San Diego. He got a wild card into the qualifying this year, and he played some fantastic players, and he's just seemed not fazed by it at all. He's got quite a big game, so I think he brings a lot of energy, so he'll be a lot of fun to watch. In the women's side, we've got Mimi Zhu, who's playing Emma Raducanu. She's 17 or 18 years old, but already 300 in the world, and she's beaten some top players already. But of course, we've got to talk about Jack Draper. I think he's going to have a fantastic Wimbledon. It's potentially his best surface. So.
Wow.
Yeah, good luck with him,
Hopefully a successful Wimbledon.
Quick one. When I was at Marseille, the physio was Jacques Bailly, and he was the massager of Henry Leconte. Okay, and he used to have a fag. He used to massage with one hand and fag in the other. Honestly, it was hilarious. And when we were talking earlier at the start about years gone by, Jacques Bailly, he was Henry Leconte's masseur, and he was hilarious. He used to honestly, and he loved his tennis as well. So, and he always used to mention Wimbledon and the great fun he had with Henry when he was on the circuit.
Love it. What a throwback that is. Brilliant.
He was my physio at Marseille. Yeah.
Liam, appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Cheers, Liam. All the best. Bye-bye. I thought I'd throw that in.
No, you had to. That's what Liam referred to there. Right. talkSPORT will be keeping you across all of Wimbledon and the Club World Cup with games coming your way. And don't forget the Women's Euros starting this week too. We have plenty of live sport then keeping you, whether it's live commentary or keeping you across it all. Thank you very much for listening this Sunday morning cast. Thank you. I shall see you next week. I might not be with you Saturday. It's not. I'm not 100% yet, but I'll see you. Okay. I'll see you anyway. Up next, the Sunday edition with Sean Custis and a jet-lagged Henry Winter, who's come straight from the mix zone in Bratislava to be with us.